Hit it. Here we go, guys. Cleveland Moto Podcast number 323. We'll sell you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge. All right. That was great. Whoever slammed that drink down just now, epic.
That was me hitting
the
mic boom with
the
wow,
yeah.
So I can do that anytime you want.
It's called spatial awareness. Don't ever do that again. It is the equivalent of having my head inside a timpani.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This makes me so happy, so you all know what I've been dealing with.
And you know what's the worst thing is? These little spring fuckers right here. So those little springs on the arm, if you pluck that spring, it sounds, don't even do it. Just don't do it. Just don't fucking do it. It's a sign of a true amateur. Yeah. So here we go. And today, my second ride of the morning happened way too early and I got snowed on. So fuck that shit. I'm just going to open hard and say, fuck Mother Nature at this point. That was some crap I don't want to talk about for April 15th. Bad juju. Don't like getting snowed on. To my right.
Steve, sleeping.
And a beautiful floral shirt.
Thank you.
Very nice.
It was loose, and I'm feeling fat today.
So but you know, the Boogaloo Boys figured that out. You know, fuck Realtree.
Yeah.
You got to go Aloha the whole way.
Yeah, it loosens you up, man.
And the Aloha shirt is exactly that kind of like, I don't care.
Right.
And
I might have 15 weapons in here. You don't know.
Exactly. Right. And the better thing too is, and yet I'm very fun.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm a fun kind of guy. Yeah. That's exactly it. And to my left,
Dan Kromke.
Who brought fucking Korean food tonight? Everybody at this table right now has had at least 2 different kinds of chicken, all kinds of fun rice. And where did you get that? We'll give them a plug. What the hell?
That was from Banchan. They're up in Parma, Seven Hills.
Nothing like
Pleasant Valley.
Good Polish Korean food. Straight out of Zeben Hills. Fantastic. And to his left?
Nick DeVito.
And having ridden in today on a Honda Helix.
Der Kompressor.
Yeah.
Steve Hoffert.
Very cool, man. Very cool.
I love that Helix.
I know you do. It does have a bit of an exhaust leak, though.
You know, it sounds exactly like a old compressor.
It does. When you pulled up, I was just like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was very cool. And to his left,
Johnny Mac.
Yay!
Turd herder.
The turd herders. The team. You have a team of turd herders. Yeah. It's a whole different kind of Brokeback Mountain. It really is, man. So the deal, was anybody here and saw the Harley Davidson that I got last week in person? I know John did.
Oh, yes.
So anyone else?
No, just the picture.
Okay.
The Boss Hog one, right?
What's that?
The Boss Hog white one?
It was a white one, yeah. So it was white. It was a white 2004 Harley Davidson Road King. It's fuel injected. And that particular bike had the spoke, like actual chrome spoke wheels. Best thing it had was the Harley Davidson flamethrower grips, which are brilliant because they have the knob to adjust the heat level on the end of the grip. So some older Harley Davidson touring bikes would have a Schrader valve in there, and they'd have a Schrader so you could inflate your air suspension through that end of the left grip. This one had a knob to turn up the heated grips, and the heated grips actually had flames, like, everything, flame. So it had flaming grips, but they worked really, really well. Super good. And then the bike also had cruise control, which worked really, really well. So, well done, Harley Davidson. That motorcycle, for being a twin cam 88, 51,000 miles on it. Somebody had done the obligatory timing cam chain upgrade. So the bike, lived on. And it rode really nice. It was a decent bike, but meth is a powerful drug.
Oh, no.
And so the guy that came into the shop and was kind of like, you guys buy motorcycles?
Itchy scratchy.
And I was like, yeah, of course I buy motorcycles. What you got? I said, if they're interesting. And he's like, I got a Harley Davidson. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. Well, what you got? Oh, it's a Road King. And I was like, oh, okay. Now you got my attention. So I like FLHs. I like long wheelbase, big, chonky. In sports like Softails, like the one behind me, Softails are okay too, but I prefer a Road King or a proper electric glide. I like the longer bikes. They're just roomier. They feel like a Harley should feel going down the road. If I want a bike that doesn't feel like that, Honda and Yamaha have got the bases covered. No shit. Buy a Honda or Yamaha, they'll last forever, and that's great. And you don't have to touch kids or wear fringe. It's cool. And it's like, are either of you gay? no, but we're willing to learn. Is there a special class for that? Stripes was right on the money 40 years ago with that line. But so the guy came in and the dude
That's
was like,
the fact, Jack.
That's the fact, Jack. So I told him, I was like, just bring the bike in so I can see it. So he brought the bike in and I was like, fuck. Oh, this is nice. Like, this is a good bike. And I like white motorcycles to begin with. And it had a decent, quick disconnect windshield on it, had the good bags on it. I was like, this is actually really tidy. So let's find out how desperate this guy is. And I was like, well, what do you need to have for this bike? And he's looking, I was like, I got to see the title. I need to see the keys and the title before you say anything else. He brought the title with him. And I said, now I need to see your ID. Because I was like, there's no way this title matches his ID. It just seems highly unlikely. And he produced an ID with the name on it that matched the title. I was like, holy shit. He had one key, which for Harley Davidson is kind of remarkable. They use the Pepsi lock keys. I was like, okay, that's acceptable. I'm good with that. Most people don't lock their Harleys anyway, but what the fuck? So he's like, well, what will you give me for it? And I was like, ooh, okay, so that's always a win for me. Anytime somebody says, what will you give me for it? That means they don't have a fucking clue. And I can just go bananas. And I was just like, $2,200. And the guy was like, no, man, I can't have any less than $4,500 for this thing. I was like, $2,500? And he's like, no, man, seriously, I need money. I need money, but this is a $10,000 bike. And I was like, it's not a $10,000 bike in the past 5 years. Like, it ain't a $10,000 bike. I'm going to give you a wake up call. Kelly Blue Book on this thing, $6,500 retail, $4,500 wholesale. But you need money. And the value is going down as longer we stand here. And I said, look, $3,000 or take it away. And he goes, I'll take $3,000. So I got the bike for $3,000 after I test rode it, so I took it for a test ride. Once we negotiated and we knew the number was right, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take it for a ride. And that's my thing is we'll agree upon a price and then I'll take it for a ride. And my reason for that is we're agreeing upon a price before the bike has been ridden. If you ever have this done to you, you're probably dealing with me or somebody who went to my class. The reason for that is we've established a price and now you've given me every opportunity to take it down. Because anything I discover on the ride is something I didn't know about in the parking lot. So if we agreed at $3,000 on a perfect bike in the parking lot, once I go out and ride it, that price is probably going to take a hit. In this case, it didn't. In this case, I was like, this bike is fucking fairly well represented, so let's rock and roll. I gave him his $3,000. Off he fucked. And I was like, this is great, man, because I'm going to list this bike at $99.99, and I'll probably sell this bike for $6,500, and I'll be making like $3,500 on a Harley Davidson. Yay, fucking man. This is cool. I don't get that kind of margin in bikes that I sell. That's wonderful.
Not on new bikes.
Fuck no, man. You're right. The new bike margin is 10 to 14% if you're fucking lucky and you cook it just right. So then, like the next day on the Facey books, I see a Vespa Super Sport. And I am every kind of wrong for Super Sports. Like, Rally 200s are awesome. But the Rally 200 is the best Vespa that they ever built because it is the rotary valve motor. Prior to that, they were piston ported motors. So for you guys that are the true two-stroke enthusiast assholes, they don't want a rotary pad motor. They want it to be piston ported. Fuck your 2% mix. I want at least 5% oil in my gas. I want owls and mosquitoes to fall out of the fucking sky when I go through your neighborhood. And the GSs and the SSs were this 5% mix, piston ported bike. And they were the hot rods of their era, 63, 4.5s. That era was the 160 for the GS and the 180 for the Super Sport. And I've got a few Super Sports and I've always liked them. My old internet handle back in the days of like the alt.chat groups and shit was always Vespa SS65. And I got yelled at for AOL because it said ass in the middle of it. Are you seriously? You're going to extrapolate that any time the A and the S and the S fall in an order together that I can't have that because it has the word ass in it?
Molasses.
Molasses. I call molasses on that
Nobody's
shit.
called assassin.
Exactly, right. Assassin, you know there's an assassin 1969 out there, right?
Well, and the funny part is like, yeah, they're going to get mad about...
is an assassin.
Right, but they're going to get mad about ass
Double
or
ass.
boob or something, but you could totally be like brain mutilator family fucker or something.
Oh, exactly.
They're totally cool with it.
Yeah. 556 Death Machine,
Yeah.
762 Raging from Hell, whatever. You can be any kind of 50 caliber killer, Yeah, that's
You could be Kid Diddler too, and that's okay. But you can't have ass in your name or boob.
poor Michael. So when I looked at this guy's listing, and I was like, two warning signs. One, it's a Vespa in Cleveland I don't know about, which is always weird. So it's a Vespa in Cleveland I wasn't aware of. And then two, it said would train, like interesting trades considered Harley Davidson. And I went, this is a chocolate and peanut butter situation. And I said, we like to act on those. So I immediately took the white Harley Davidson to the cemetery and found that giant tombstone that says Bagger on it. And I pulled the Harley in front of the giant tombstone that says Bagger, and I took several hero shots of it, sent the guy the hero shots, and he's like, yeah, man, we got to talk. So we talked, and we came down to that he would give me this motorcycle, this scooter from 1966 or 65, and $2,000 American cash for the Harley Davidson Road Glide. Or Road King, sorry.
The pearl paint is... I love pearl paint.
It's a good-looking scooter,
It's
man.
a good-looking bike.
Yeah.
And it starts on the first fucking kick. So it feels like the motor feels a little tired, like I'm not getting all of the ponies out of it. Like a few of the horses have left the stable in all these years. But it does start and run well. It needs a little bit of work with the clutch and, but I mean, look, dude, it's all the important pieces are there. All the hard to find parts are not gone. They haven't been stolen. And
it's not speaking Indian.
it's not right. It didn't come in with a waft of jalfrezi, right? So when you start it doesn't smell like, Mumbai. But here's the weird thing. Think about it. I traded in a Harley Davidson for a
This
Vespa.
shop smells like
it
Seoul,
does.
Korea right now.
Yeah. Where's the Kimco's from? Kimco's, aren't those from Korea?
The kimchi's?
No. And John worked here. John will be the first to tell you. We've heard, Kimco, man, that's from Korea, right? Kimchi's? You guys have any of those kimchi scooters? No, we don't have any kimchi scooters. They're from Taiwan. They're good. But very funny. I have taken Harley Davidsons in on scooters many times. Like I have taken Sportsters in on Bajaj scooters. I've taken full-blown dresser Harleys in on Vespa scooters, modern stuff, But this is the first time I've ever taken a Road King and traded a Road King in for an old Vespa. And here's the funny thing. I know to our podcast listeners, they're not going to possibly think, okay, you traded that Road King for a Vespa. They're not going to think that I got a great deal on that. But I'm telling you, a Vespa with $2,000 cash means that I'm into this Vespa for $1,000 right now. And this is a $6,500 Vespa. So this vintage Vespa is about $6,500 in today's money. So that's a $5,500 profit.
I just think it was a good deal for both of you because you'd rather have that scooter.
Yep.
He'd rather have that Harley.
John, it's exactly what he said, and I'm not making fun of this guy at all. This guy's a class act. He said the same thing. He goes, I could sell that Harley tomorrow. And he could. It's a desirable, beautiful bike. But he was getting every kind of fucking twat waffle reaching out to him about this Vespa. People that were like, well, my wife wants a Vespa. She don't want this. Forget to oil it one time. Forget to mix the oil one time. You lunched it, right? These things, when they were new, if you touch the front brake, the front fender burrowed under the ground,
Self-energizing front brakes.
Self-energizing front brake.
I've experienced that once, and I did not like it.
No, and these things pretend like they think they're an extra in the movie Tremors. If you touch the front brake with any kind of authority, the whole front end tries to literally submarine on you. But you can't sell that to somebody who doesn't know exactly what. And so the guy's like, you're the first person that's contacted me that even knows what the fucking SS is. You're the only, and you come out here and crawl all over the fucking thing and lay on the ground and get your pants dirty.
You're a qualified buyer.
I'm a qualified buyer. So it is, I think, John, you nailed it the other day when you were like, look, you're doing this guy a favor because he'll sell that bike now and he will make money. I have the receipt for what he paid for this when he bought it.
He can't cry. I mean, he got a really nice Harley that anybody would be like, oh, wow, that's a nice Harley.
It was nice enough.
You traded your scooter for that Harley?
Yeah. All of his friends are going to pay him.
Well, I had to give him
that.
a little bit of money, you know.
Well, and he'll now be respected at Smedley's. You know?
And the thing is that, you know, people are hearing these numbers and stuff, but you also have a shop that costs, you know what I mean? Like, it's not, you're not just some dude walking up and trying to make these trades. Like, you have a sizable investment to give you the power to do this.
In this situation, though, this one, the Harley came to me because I have a shop.
Right.
And that's where everyone else is like, oh, yeah, you know, I'd be hitting home runs too if I could buy a Harley for $3,000.
We do have a story of an unqualified buyer that we'll talk to about after this.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And so we wanted to hit on this for the podcast because having the shop does create a gravity, right? So like having a shop and being set up as a shop and paying your rent and having a business license and being in business for 20 years, yes, people are going to see you as an opportunity to sell your motorcycle really quickly. Mm-hmm. And it's better than a pawn shop, you know? So it is. Think about it. If you went and did like a vehicle loan on that Harley, he might get $2,000 and it would cost him $2,900 to get his bike back. At least this way, he's got cash in his pocket. The transaction's done. What's that?
He did have cash in.
Well, somebody else has his cash in his pocket right now, I'm sure. But I mean, whatever.
Hey, that was a scooter and a stimmy check, and you got a Harley Davidson.
And that's exactly right. Yeah. And so I'm really thrilled with it, and I'm not going to flip it fast because I do like the bike, and it's a super.
What did you ride to work today?
The Super Sport. So like nice. I rode half my ride to work on the Harley. And I rode to his house and we did the switcheroony. And he was really, when I pulled up in the driveway on the Harley and all my cold weather gear on, except for these stupid ACU summer BDUs, which suck in the snow. But when I pulled up, he was like, what, no trailer? I thought you said you were bringing a trailer. And when he said that, I was like, oh, this guy's selling me a bike that can't make it to my shop. I mean, because when they say that, why are they saying that?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They're saying that because they don't want you to ride this all the way home or wherever. But it ran beautiful, and I mean, it didn't miss a beat the whole way. So, yeehaw.
So you'll be riding it home tonight?
No. So I will tell you guys.
It's about 39 degrees.
It's about 39 degrees out, first thing. Second thing, I have a perfectly good Toyota Crown Royale Saloon wagon parked around back that has great heat and soft seats. Now, the suspension in this is from 1965. And this is where I will warn you guys, if anybody's like, you know, I'm going to get into vintage scooters. It seems like the kind of thing I want to do. My front shock for that bike, if I were to get whatever was the equivalent of the OEM front shock for that bike, the cheapest I could find is $149. Yeah. And that's for the garbage shock nobody recommends. Oh, don't even bother, John. It is useless. Yeah. But to get SIP's hot shit, like I got the right thing on my bike kind of thing, is $279 plus it has to get here from Germany. So that's
the Germans,
right? It's the Germans, and it's literally one shock absorber this fucking big. I mean, this is, at most, we're talking something that's, what do you say that is, about 16 inches? Yeah. So it's literally 6 inches. Yeah. It's literally just real tiny thing, but they're getting that much money for it because it's a very specialized item. Now, the rear shocks on these can be pretty much any Vespa shock, any P series or rally shock will work, but for the front, it has to be a GS or an SS shock because their forks are different. Having a GS or an SS means you're not going to be able to buy parts cheap for the rest of your life. So that's the game. So kind of fun. And so I did order today from SIP. I ordered a very fancy rear shock and I ordered a really fancy front shock. So, you know, I want to keep the outside looking very, very nice the way it does. I might want to add some pinstriping or something to the tan parts just so they're not so expansive and boring. Just to freshen those up a little bit.
I'm not a huge fan of the color scheme. I'm just going to say,
well,
I don't want to. I
love the color scheme.
Me too. I love it. Well, I think it's awesome.
It's the exact same color as your KLR military. No, it's not. Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Were there ever Vespas that came from the factory with two-tone though?
No.
So when did they stop making two-stroke Vespas?
So they made them all the way up until 2005. So in the United States, there was a run of 2005 PX 150s that you could buy, and they were a legit two-stroke. automatic oil injection. This is premix only. But the last run of Vespas, the Stellas that came in 2002, like 2003, they ran those all the way up to like 2014 or so. But Vespa, the last hurrah for the United States market was 2005. Now in Europe and other countries, India, etc., they continue. Like they're still 2-strokes available and you can buy them. But this particular, this kind of a thing, I love it because obviously that's the closest thing to camouflage you can have and still be shiny. So I'm okay with it. Like those are my 2 colors, dude.
So what do I want if I
Khaki
get a scooter?
camouflage and what's that?
Do I want a 2-stroke or a 4-stroke?
So this is the trick. If you have a shifter scooter, it's got a 4-speed manual transmission. So if you get a shifter scooter that's got a 4-stroke in it, it's one of 2 bikes. It's either a Bajaj, which they started selling in the United States in about 2002 or so, or it's a Stella. Okay, the Stella's a 2-stroke. Until later on, the Stella became a 4-stroke.
Were Henkel's 4-strokes?
They were, well, no, they're 2-strokes. Wait, I have to check myself on that. No, the Henkel's 4-stroke. Yeah. I would actually, I've owned 3 of the damn things. I don't know whether they're 2-stroke or 4-stroke.
I didn't know. I thought that was one of the ones that was a 4-stroke.
I feel bad even having to research it, but God damn it, I'm going to. But I'm really embarrassed to the podcast listeners.
You don't even know how many strokes a Henkel has?
I'm telling you, I think it's a 4-stroke.
Well, if it is a 4, can you take 2 away?
It's a 4-stroke. That's right. Thanks, Steve. It is a 4-stroke. That's exactly it. We're not going to talk about the conversion kit. Yeah, that's for the chat rooms only. But the Henkel is a 4-stroke, and of course the Fuji. I think the Fuji Rabbit was also a 4-stroke. So a lot of those odd scoots. But when we're talking about Vespas and things that look just like a Vespa and act just like a Vespa, the Bajaj and eventually the Stella were 4-strokes. And, look, there was nothing wrong with the Bajaj 4-stroke that us being Americans didn't fuck with. We rode the bikes too fast. We rode them too fast. We put demands on them that they really weren't engineered to do. In India, you shift at about 2,200 RPM, and you can put as many people as you want on it. In America, we rev everything out to redline, and that fucking Bajaj does not like that. The Cheetah, the Legend, they did not like being revved out, so the flywheels would separate. The flywheel system on, the charging system the rivets would just shear right the fuck off.
Wow.
And that's not a cool thing to have happen at 55 miles an hour.
Keep that in mind if you're buying a cheap Indian flywheel on eBay.
Yes.
For your Vespa.
Yeah, and that is not just, and you're right, that doesn't just hold itself to the Bajaj line, because remember, Bajaj made parts for themselves, and they also made parts for Vespas and tons of parts for all kinds of things. The LML, the Stella 4-stroke. The Stella 4-stroke, I never liked it. I mean, we didn't like it from day one, and the fucking automatic we hated more. We looked like that was the solution to a problem nobody had, because 2-strokes are fun. Like a 2-stroke scooter with a 4-speed gearbox is a lot of fun to ride. I mean, it's not a 650, it's not a 500, but it's silly and it's fun. You ride a 125. Yeah.
There's something about just holding it a little too long.
Yes.
You're like,
Well, and also there's the suspension that dips every time you let off to shift, and it's just ridiculous.
And the mechanism of the grip shifter, so using a grip shift on the Vespa is very, very fun. You're very much a part of the game. So it's like, grab the clutch, sure, but now what do? Snick it into gear. And anybody who's ridden them here at this table will tell you that, like, there's a well-adjusted set of shifter cables, and then there's all the other bikes on the planet. So it's like, right? You've been there. So like, oh, this thing shifts down, great. But shifting up, terrible.
My bike was fantastic up until my clutch cable just snapped.
Yeah.
But I redid all the cables at one point and had everything adjusted really nice. My clutch was super light and and it was just like,
perfect.
And then for no reason at all, just
that's because it was perfect. So anytime a Vespa's perfect, stop riding it. Yeah. That's something bad is about to happen.
I've been there.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Many times for Nick.
Yeah, my bike has never been this fast ever. There's a heat seize right there, just like that.
I think it's going to get a new clutch cable on it, and it's going out to the farm.
Yeah, okay.
It's going to be the rally bike out there.
That's pretty fucking cool.
Want to ride a vintage scooter? Go ahead.
There
Ride
you
it all
go.
on the farm.
So that's the deal of the day. That's the deal of the week, I guess. We'll just call that what it is. As we talk about vintage, we get into vintage Vespas and vintage Lambrettas. I got to tell people, it is fucking hard to do. Like doing these bikes, especially Lambrettas, when a guy shows up on a nice running, good looking, decent Vespa or Lambretta, that guy's he's got his shit together. I mean, that's not an easy thing. We know many, many, many people who have bought Stellas and then been like, oh, I buy a Stella, then, I drive that thing for a year or two, and then I'm totally ready to own a vintage Vespa. Yeah, you're getting there. You're on the right path.
That's like having a first kid that's really good.
Yeah.
And you think you can handle a second one, and then they turn out to be an asshole.
My parents went from me to my brother and sister, who God bless their souls, but when they were little children, they were nightmares. And like they were the kind of kids that were just constant hell. And my mom was like, wow, we never, ever should have. We never should have taken on more children. We didn't know what we were up against. But that thing about two-strokes, yeah, I mean, I've got a few two-stroke bikes. They're fun. Two-strokes are fucking kick ass.
When you put a kid on them, and you could do like a power wheelie,
Yeah,
give a little tug on the handlebars and it stands up.
It's
That's
true.
fun.
Vespas do respond incredibly well to kits, and there's a lot of good kits out there.
So since we're on scooters, there's two questions that came in through Moto Stories.
Yeah.
And they said they were going to listen and make sure that we're going to discuss
answer
this.
them?
Yeah. So they listened to us about the fact that Stella parts are getting really hard to find. Yeah. Guy says, well, what about P125 and 150? Are those going to get harder to find, or are they still around?
So here's the weird world. So the weird world is most people were using Indian-made parts, LML-made parts on their Italian scooters for the past 30 years and maybe might not have even known about it due to the creative use of rebagging. So having LML shutting down that division or not producing that stuff anymore could really have an impact on it. But the good news is, because there's 93 million P125s and 150s out there, there's a good fucking supply of parts for that stuff. But the Stella specific stuff, like the front disc brake stuff, there's a lot of things on a Stella that are particular to the American market and are particular to the Stella. Those items are going to start to be really fucking hard to get.
Well, the Stella, like the part Stella, might be valuable because could you swap the front end of a Stella onto a P and get the front disc brake? Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen it done,
it's
but
a completely, a Lego world up there.
If you could get a crash Stella, grab hold of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then this dude, who I like this guy already, his handle is Live Free, Ride Weird.
Yeah.
He says, so you guys are all talking about hard to find parts. Can you please tell me where I can find parts for a 2006 Aprilia Scarabeo 500 GT?
So the Scarabeo, we'll pull one up so people can look at them. But Scarabeos were weird. Remember that Aprilia, people that are into the game would be like, oh, Aprilia, yeah, it's no problem. Just get Piaggio parts, BV500, BV250.
Scarabeo, doesn't that mean, is that Scarab?
It's a bug.
It's a bug, right?
It's a bug,
Yeah.
That was the fat one, right?
I'm going to look it up because they did three different versions of an Aprilia Scarabeo 500. So
the earlier one was my favorite one.
He's got the 500 GT.
Weren't they that weird? Didn't they come in like a weird blue color?
So these are the ones that had the power brakes and power steering and
it
power
looks like my
everything.
BV500.
And might not. So this was the transitional year. So 2006
That's when they went to...
Well, 2006 was the year of the Super Tour. It's the equivalent of that BMW that they did, and that horrible BMW 1200C that then they made a touring bike out of for some reason. So this is the 500 Scarabeo, or the 500 Bug, and it's got this extremely distinctive front end where the windshield and the hand guards and stuff are very, very wide.
Oh yeah,
and they are very, very wide.
The seat's super comfortable on those.
Oh, no, these things are fucking couches. And this is a couch. And it's full-size motorcycle wheels and the whole deal. And I believe it was even a Rotax motor. These things are fan-fucking-tastic. The downside, though, is they have power brakes. So they have power-assisted brakes. And that might not be necessary on a scooter, even one this size. But this is the kind of thing that, yes, you're right. Your 2006, your 15-year-old Aprilia Scarabeo is completely unsupportable with parts.
Those power brake systems have been known for being extremely reliable and never letting their owners down when they were used on BMWs.
Right. And we can tell you that for a very, very long time that these bikes that came in with the infamous Scarabeo power brake system, they got to be like 10 years old or 5 or 10 years old, and then shit just stopped working.
Well, I don't own a bike with power brakes anymore.
Yeah.
But you do own a bike that that got to experience a nice drop last weekend.
I do not own a bike that got dropped last weekend.
Oh, you sold it.
Dun, dun, dun.
To a very qualified buyer.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Tell us more, Steve.
Don't rip on the guy. He was a nice guy.
Totally
He
nice
was just
guy.
very nervous about riding the bike.
I saw him coming in when I was driving out to go get lunch, and I tried to call Steve and be like, "Oh boy, this guy looks sketchy."
Was that a 2004?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, is this a different guy than Saturday? Oh, so
Yes.
let's go back to Saturday.
Okay, so Saturday, this guy comes in. He appears to be qualified. He's in a brand new Mustang.
We have to clarify for the podcast listeners. The bike that you're selling is a 2004 BMW R1100 RTP.
R1150.
Oh, it's 1150?
Yeah,
Okay.
1150 RTP.
Okay. Yeah.
So, anyway, I do like the bike. I did like the bike. And so I pull in. John sets us up for me. This guy's in the driveway, brand new Mustang, pulls in. The bike's sitting there. He looks at it. He's telling me, I had an 1100. I've had all these bikes. I had an F800S. I had, he's going down his list of bikes. And I'm like, the guy appears pretty qualified. And then he said, okay, I'm going to get my riding gear on. So he proceeds to
Full
gear, his booties, like riding booties, like those like goofy looking.
And then he's pressuring Steve. He's not pressuring, but he's like, do you mind if I take it out for 15, 20 minutes? Like, I want to get onto a highway. I want to give it a good ride. And Steve goes, yeah, no, look, man, you obviously know what you're doing. You're not some dumb kid who's going to drop the bike or anything. So I totally feel okay for you to go ahead and take this thing for a ride.
But he gets on the bike, and immediately I know I'm wrong. He hooks he gets on. His leg strength is that of like a 2-year-old girl. He hooks his pants on the peg, and he almost falls over, and we catch him. And then he finally gets his footing, and he's okay. I'm good to go. So he starts up, and he's like, lets out. He didn't stall it.
No,
but he's going like a quarter of a mile an hour.
I've never seen somebody.
And
go
I
so
turned
slow.
around and I said, this guy's gonna dump it. And so off he goes. And Steve was we were working on his windshield on his FJ. And like 3 minutes later, the guy comes walking back to us.
And he's totally freaked out. He's like, I'm sorry, guys. Nothing's wrong. Nothing happened. And we're like, well, what do you mean?
Well, you left here with a motorcycle. So did you get a better deal?
So he made it maybe a total of 100 feet. And he fell over. Just like
Because he was just going so slow?
Yeah, he was going like a half a mile an hour.
Was he out at the Oberlin property?
No.
No, at the plant.
At the plant.
He didn't make it. He didn't make the left. He made a right.
Yeah.
Went straight about 25 feet, and that was it. That was
And
the
he
end
dumped
of
it.
Wow.
I've ridden this bike, and I've been known to drop bikes, but I didn't think it was that hard to ride.
No, it's not very hard to ride. It's just that he didn't have any leg strength, and he was. So he's like, and then as we're walking back to the bike to lift it up, he says, I can tell you right now that I'm not buying the bike. It's too heavy for me.
Oh, that's nice that after you crashed it. That's cool. So that'll be $500 for the crash damage.
Well, fortunately, it didn't do
But
anything.
it didn't. It was on the bars, so it didn't really do any damage whatsoever. Yeah. So we get it up, and I'm doing like parade passes by him, like low speed parade passes by him, this thing's so hard to ride.
That was funny. And then you went like balls up the thing, and
then I just laid into it right up the hill, and
Right.
you're like dragging things.
Well, since you're not going to buy the bike, now let's hang around and abuse you for a while.
no,
He fucked off.
Yeah,
quick.
he was gone and instantaneously. So then, out of the blue, John says, "Some guy called. He wants to come and look at your bike." And he called, and I got his number. I called him back, and he's like, "I'm going to come 6:00 tomorrow." And I said, "Well, the earlier the better for me." And he said, "I'll be there 10:00 tomorrow."
Okay.
So
I'm coming from Elyria.
which is like 2 miles away from Oberlin.
Right.
So he shows up at like 11:30 or so, or 12. He gets on the bike and he starts it up, and he's like acting like it's a small two-stroke. He's like he's just trying to start it, and like he's fluttering the throttle. And I'm trying to tell him, no, it's a fuel-injected bike. Here's the choke. Here's the start button. Just hold it down until it starts, and don't touch the throttle or anything. He's like, well, you know, I used to ride bikes, and I'm an experienced biker and everything. So he gets on the bike, and he's just like starts it up, and he's sitting there, and he moves forward, stalls it, and I said, I tell you what, I turned it off. I pulled the key out, and I said, I've had a bad experience with people dropping my bikes, and John was saying, it seems like everybody's dropping every bike they ride this year, or they test ride this year.
Phil was talking about a rash of them, you know.
Can confirm, yeah. That's no doubt about that.
So
Because we had talked.
The guy looks at me and says,
Before this guy got there, we were talking like, get his driver's license and get $500.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
but so he's like, is the price negotiable? And I said, and then I took the keys away.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? I just don't feel comfortable with you riding this. And he looks at me and he says, okay. He pulls $3,500 out of his pocket, hands it to me, and he says, let's just do this deal.
Right on.
Nice.
Right on.
And I'm like,
Okay.
Yes.
Now you can ride it.
but I feel super guilty about it, because I think it's like, because you were telling me stories about the salesman who sells a guy a Hayabusa 1000 and then he winds it into the ground.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So I have all this anxiety about this whole thing, because I don't want this guy to get hurt. I mean, his daughter's with him.
Yep. Right.
And his daughter's like, Dad, that's a cool bike. And he's like, oh, I want this bike, whatever.
What did I tell you, though? What did I tell you?
You always tell me to screw anything that moves.
That's not what I said. I told you that if you didn't sell that guy a bike, somebody was going to sell him a bike.
That's exactly
He's
right.
He's hot to buy a bike, and the bike you're selling him is not that crazy of a bike.
It's a great
It's
bike.
a very reliable
No, it's a
bike.
great bike.
It's a crashable bike.
There is no reason why you're fucking him, and
Right.
you don't know what happens in his future.
That's
he
right.
might, yes, he's having a hard time, but everybody has a hard time on the first bike.
He doesn't buy the BMW R1150RTP from you. The next guy he talks to is selling him a Bandit 1200.
Could be a Hayabusa that's all clapped out. Could be
a clapped out Bandit for $3,500 or whatever. So you made it done a favor. Here's an interesting thing. Talking about the ownership of a BMW, the police bikes, because you can get them cheap. We know all the reasons, like in our podcast, we have discussed the reasons why a human being might not want to buy this motorcycle. Okay. Yes, you can buy a $3,000 BMW RTP, right?
or why a human might want to sell such a
Right.
motorcycle.
Okay. We know that there's a lot of reasons that you might not want to buy this bike. First is going to be there is a known final drive seal problem with these bikes that is expensive to fix. There's also a cush drive failure on the actual drive shaft.
The main seal.
The main seal is also suspect.
I saw a video of that. You tear the bike in half.
I've done 3 of them. Yeah. So there are 3 or 4 reasons, but then probably the biggest one right now is the ABS systems. So the ABS systems on these bikes are getting very old. This is a 16-year-old bike.
And power brake system. Oh,
the ABS, yeah. Well, the ABS system is servo controlled. But anyway, more importantly, I'm going to guess that whoever you're buying the bike from probably didn't change the brake fluid and flush it the way BMW recommends, like every 2 years. people just don't do that. It's like going to the dentist and lying about brushing. The dentist knows you don't floss.
Flossing, yeah.
Right, exactly.
He always says,
right. Come on. Yeah, of course you floss twice a day. Sure. Anyway, we know that with these bikes, they're a ticking time bomb. And if you have one and the ABS goes out, the best thing you can hope for is an ABS delete kit that's going to cost you a whole lot of money and be a lot of labor to install. Shops like us won't install them because I can't suffer the liability of deactivating an ABS system and having you get hurt later on down the road because, well, the guy who sold it to me said it had ABS and it doesn't have ABS and I died. So,
but I will say that this bike was functioning perfectly,
absolutely.
And I was up to the maintenance on the whole thing. So I don't feel guilty about the condition of the bike at all.
And this guy could own this bike for another 40,000 miles.
This guy wasn't a young kid. He was 40 something, maybe 50. I mean, he had a gray beard. I mean, whatever.
But one of the things about this motorcycle that is really fucking cool, I mean, I shat on it for a while, but one of the things that's really cool about this is the parts that break when you lay this bike over, because every police department in the world has taken a run at these things. There's a lot of parts available. And a lot of them have gone to the breakers yards and been systematically disassembled. Do you know what a mirror for a Honda PC800 costs? Take your pick, left or right. Doesn't matter.
I think I priced them out at like $600.
It's $700 for a set. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
There's currently one set on eBay. Do you know what these mirrors cost for a BMW police bike?
No idea.
$109.
I'll put those on my PC then.
And there's about 65 of them on eBay. The individual mirrors. So I'm going to throw this, guys, just so you can see this and you can cry about. John and I were talking about how good, like why you like the PC800 so much is because it is just a giant marshmallowy, delightful motorcycle. That's for one mirror. So that listing is for ein single mirror, $334.99 plus shipping.
You should sell the mirrors off of your bike, dude. You can get what you paid for it.
Here's the thing. That's the only mirror on all of goddamn...
mirrors are worth more than the whole bike, Steve.
Dude, that is the only mirror on eBay. Not 15 mirrors, not a left and a right. Take a look at the listing. That is the same guy selling the same mirror. That is one fucking mirror in all of goddamn eBay. So that's what it's like. So you're like, oh, PC800. Yeah, every fucking part for a PC800 is made of rocking horse shit. Or, it's...
Does it count if there's zip tie holes in them?
No, it doesn't. Frankenstein's
I have a box of body parts for
PC800 shit. Yeah.
But what I found now is that as the parts break off, I just don't replace them. Because what's the point?
It makes it lighter. Yeah.
No, the other day, I don't know
MPGs.
what happened. It stress crack, and the whole section right where your left knee is just flapped out on the freeway.
Because these bikes are getting to be 30 years old, right? 30.
Plastic is going to be the bane of the future.
Yes, it is. And we work on a lot of old motorcycles here where you're like, okay, I really need to get the side panel off this 81 Suzuki.
Oh, dude.
But it doesn't look like it's been off since 83. So how do we approach this situation? And I'm like,
the grommets are hard as a rock. Yeah. And so, what do you do?
Well, the best story about that, it was James, that CB750, and the guy wanting to, here, I want to show you something. And he grabs the side panel of a 1970 CB750 and just
broke two tabs off.
No, broke all.
You're right. He got all three. Yeah, he got all three. Yeah.
Oh, dude. And James is crying, and it's oh my God. Oh, I wanted to show you the quarter we used to always keep in the thing.
We kept a quarter in the fuse block in case we needed to make a phone call. So for wanting to show off a quarter that he put there in 71, he broke a priceless side
perfect panel.
But yeah, to get those things off, I mean, at the shop, what we do is like we take WD-40 and we feed it into the rubber for like 4 days to try and get that rubber as supple as possible. And then we very gently pull the fucking panels off.
Wiggle.
Or we'll try to reach in the back with an Allen wrench and push them from the backside so you're not actually pulling on it. Because other people have pulled it off too, so it has stress fractures in it. So we got to kind of push it, You can go look outside. I mean, we're in headphones, check.
No, I mean, I thought I heard voices.
I did too.
There are.
There are.
There are
There's
people out there.
There's zombies out there.
Are they pushing that one scooter away that
I don't know.
some guy left out there?
Yeah, they look like neighborhood folks. Anyway.
I always buy handfuls of those grommets.
Yeah.
And if I pull them out, I put like soft, fresh ones in, and I spray them down with silicone.
Right. That's absolutely what you have to, when you're working on the old bikes, it is like, you got to make sure you just don't break
But it's that
thing.
first one.
Oh man, you're like, I want to work on this bike, but I don't want to make it worse.
And not only
when I
that,
started.
but like if you do get a side panel off
Yeah.
successfully, don't just shove it back into the same
No.
rubber that was there.
No.
Even if you lube it, that rubber is not what you want to do.
The military taught us a great trick when you're doing camo gear. So you're doing camo gear, and you take the plugs out for your CVC helmet, your communication, combat vehicle communication helmet or whatever. They always tell you, take your finger and run it next to your nose. Because that's like, I don't care how dry you are. There's always
Glycerin.
There's always some grease there, right?
It's glycerin.
So yeah, you take that and you rub it on the O-rings and you rub it on the seals. And it seems nasty as fuck, but you'll keep that seal and you'll maintain good connectivity in your part, And so you got like an 8-pin connector. If you do that and you do it religiously, yeah.
Hey, Joe,
it's
you
lube.
greasy son of a bitch, get over here.
They use lubricant on rubber parts in the food industry.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
any kind of rubber valve is lubricated with either a petroleum-based or a silicone-based lubricant, and it preserves
Yeah.
the rubber too.
Yeah, I know guys that eat gallons of KY, so it goes through you. So I did want to talk if you want to hand me that, Daniel. So we got I've attacked the Amazon, and I got this very, very high speed, low drag, multi-textured, I might add, the match look. It's got the red, nice grained, probably the hide. It's probably a Naga.
Yeah.
It looks like a Naga.
Is that the high edition?
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's
This is
not a hide.
It's not a hide, right? Yeah, this is the high edition, but I think like the one John had, I think the problem is the same problem we're having is where my asshole hits this is like right there.
Yeah.
So
There's no extra padding.
So the podcast people can see it's like my butthole goes right there.
It's almost like you want to take this one, take it apart,
Yeah.
cut like this much of it off,
Right.
rivet all that onto the existing seat,
Yeah.
and then cover
Right.
the whole thing.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Well, we're going to work something out. So we'll figure it out. But now we've got, a sacrificial seat that we can, make longer. That's cool. So that was fun. I bought that thing. And then if you can hand me, there's some red levers there. Check this out. So these guys, you guys know in my last podcast, I was showing you guys some of the cool stuff I bought, like the chain and the levers and stuff. This is all for the SSR 125s. And I bought these levers because they were red. I'll admit it.
They look good.
I totally just bought these things because they were red. I didn't give a fuck. First of all, they're not exactly red. They're kind of dog dick purple. It's kind of that.
Oldsmo Burgundy.
It is. It's a very faded Oldsmo Burgundy. I think there was a probe once this color. But if
I don't understand how those. Oh, okay. So they're spring loaded. They can flip forward.
They can flip forward. So when you crash, your knuckles go through them, but they don't bend the fun way. They don't bend left or right. They just go forward.
Okay.
Okay. But what I'm going to tell you is if you get up close and personal with these things and look at the casting on it, it looks like they cast this in fucking silly putty. Like these things are garbage of the highest order. And when you push the lever close, there's a big amount of resistance there. It kind of notches out. So looking at them in hindsight,
Chinesium.
the suggestion that this is, quote, billet, no. This is casting of the lowest order. I mean, this is like they took a cast piece and then lightly machined it, maybe, is what I'm thinking.
There's a kid in his backyard with a pot with
who's made 100 of these this morning.
melting down pop cans and
Yeah.
pouring them into the mold.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny how poorly this part of the handle,
Yes.
the anodizing doesn't match this part of the handle.
Oh, no, I don't think they came from the same 9-year-old. Yeah. I think they came from a different school.
Different household.
Yeah. So, if you're a Uyghur, that's what you're doing for a living in China, apparently, is making levers for little fucked up dirt bikes.
You remember
Yeah,
me
and giving
saying,
up your organs too.
saying I found a petcock in the parts for my S65 that looked like it was like the worst casting ever.
worst cast
Well, I
ever?
figured out why it was there. He bought it just for the
Seal?
seal inside, right?
He bought
And
it
of course,
just to get the gasket.
that seal was also so cheap
Yeah,
that it had completely failed. And it
that's a
hasn't been
mistake.
in there very much.
You do it the other way around. You buy the petcock and you throw that away and put a Honda
Put a
four-hole
Honda seal
seal
in
in
it.
it. Yeah.
You know, and it's crazy how seals can be different. So like I was airbrushing helmet this week, and I got this one airbrush that has a bigger tank on it. And so the other airbrush I have, they both have rubber O-rings, you know? So when I was done, I put it in the solvent to clean the paint because I'm using automotive paint. No problem. That one that I got from eBay, the seal went from being like a little tiny O-ring to being about 2 inches wide and just exploded in about 37 seconds, man.
I went over to Sills to see if I could get the actual Honda
right.
seal.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get the cushion rubbers for the rear, for the sprocket and the wheel in the back. I've got them both on the shelf.
Yep.
For an obscure 1965 motorcycle. They're like, oh yeah, we have those.
We have those. Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean,
I have
did you do
at my house too. You could have just called me. I have a whole drawer full of those little 3-hole.
3-hole gaskets.
Yeah.
And
Well, these were 4.
Or 4, whatever they are.
Anybody that knows anything knows that they're 4
I'm sorry.
and would never say that they're 3-hole gasket.
oh, but they're not just 4. They're not just a 4.
You're running the press tomorrow.
Honda also does an 8-hole gasket.
Yep.
I'm also
So-
familiar with that. That's what's used in the Honda CB1,
Yep.
as well as some of like the 82 VT 750s and stuff like that.
C70.
Both my CT90 and Steve's new CT200 use the same 8-hole.
Yep. And you cannot use a 4-hole in its place. In case you ever, if you
What
ever
do
get-
they use on a 1963 Honda Dream?
Oh, dude.
It's a different one altogether.
Oh yeah, that's a horrible.
That's the 9-hole.
That's the slider. Yeah. That's
I
like,
bet you didn't know
That's
that.
like the espresso
don't
press coffee maker one.
It's kind of crazy that in the 60s they were open to more holes, and then as they got older, like less holes.
Less holes. Now here's a tip from
I
your
used to have
Unkie
one
Phil.
hole at work.
Let me tell you what kind of hole I work for.
Would you say it's the whole hole?
This is also my slumlord too.
Oh, that's right. Because now you're a resident. Now you're a tenant on his property.
Yeah.
I put a hose underneath his camper just so it would sink in. I told him to get the fuck out of here.
If you're
It's
ever
never going anywhere.
if you're ever in a jam and you need a 4-hole gasket, keep in mind that in the marine industry, so in the boat industry, they also use Honda fuel control valves. So guess what? There's a lot of fucking 2-stroke and 4-stroke Honda engines out on the water. And it turns out that Honda didn't just use the 4-hole valve technology in their motorcycle applications. So I have learned over the years that it is completely cromulent to use a marine application 4-hole gasket. And so if you get jammed up and they don't have the part you need at your local motorcycle shop, or you can't find it wherever you normally go, call a boat place and ask if they've got any, fuel valve packing for a Honda engine, for a Honda motor. And it turns out Honda used Honda parts on Honda everything. So you can get those parts and they work absolutely fine. They're great. And that's cool because it's not a part that's been sitting on somebody's shelf for 40 years. It's a part that's literally brand new from...
I betcha.
Yeah.
You could get a used one, and it might be in better condition because they use boat gas.
They did use boat gas.
Well, if you took a used one and soaked it in winter mint and softened it up again, I bet it'd be just fine for another 40 years.
Yeah, Wintergreen is pretty magical. Wintergreen on old rubber parts is kind of fucking fantastic. Thanks to that was one of our ones from Mark McDermott.
Late and great.
Mark McDermott. He taught us all that. He came in with a fucking paint can full of Wintergreen, and all the rubber bits from the carburetor went in there, and it didn't blow them out. They didn't overinflate, and they all just were like new again. All this stuff that was old and brittle and crunchy, a couple of days in the Wintergreen, and it just was fucking awesome.
And it smells so good,
It smells fantastic. Yeah, take a little hit every time you walk past.
Wait, what is this wintergreen stuff?
You don't know what wintergreen is?
You are familiar with Wintergreen?
Oh, it smells so good.
Remember the RC car traction compound that smelled minty?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Like that, yeah.
Oh, that's what it was? But it ate foam. I mean, like it softened the foam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, nothing is foam in the carburetor.
Right, good point, good point,
So,
good
yeah.
point, yeah.
But so wintergreen oil is actually wintergreen oil. Like, aromatherapy chicks are paying top dollar for this shit. If you're into essential oils, you might pay like 39 cents or $39 for a fucking, tenth of an ounce for that shit. Or you could buy it by the drum. And
For 39 cents.
For 39 cents, exactly. So that shit works. And that's solid tech tip. Wintergreen rescues old rubber. Oh, God, intake boots. Don't even my rule is don't take a carburetor off a motorcycle unless you either have brand new intake boots from the factory that says the name of the brand of the motorcycle you're working on. No shit. Because, I bought these intake boots on eBay. They're wrong. They say Keister on them or they say whatever. They're wrong. Unless they literally say the part number and the manufacturer of the motorcycle you're working on, they're wrong. They're going to give you nightmares.
It's named Keister
for a reason.
Yeah. So I
I've
literally
never had one kit that worked.
I bought new intake boots for the 70 CB 750.
Yep.
Because that airbox is made out of the same material as that side panel that crumbled.
Yes.
It's not made of the harder ABS plastic as later models, and it's painted the color of the bike. And that plate that's those that go into is busted everywhere.
Of course.
If you can get an airbox that's not broken, it's $1,000.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I bought the new ones. I have nice soft ones to go in there, but the ones that are in there are so fucking hard. You won't put it back together without destroying it. No. And I've got to figure out how I'm going to crush them, cut them and surgically remove them without, you know, like...
Can you epoxy the plastic from the inside?
I'm thinking, or I'm going to
really
take a
brittle.
torch inside there and just stick it inside on low and just try to heat the thing so it'll squeeze and get them out without...
That plastic that was used on those early generation CB 750s.
It's like an epoxy. It was like a 2-part resin that they probably squirted in.
It was brittle when it was new.
Yeah.
And 40, 50 years didn't help it. 50 years on that bike didn't save it.
Like Bakelite.
It is. It's really brittle plastic. There's no flex to it at all.
It's like if you took Bondo and squeezed it into a mold, that's what it is.
And that's probably what you're going to have to do to rescue it. Or just buy one of those awesome chrome square air cleaners.
You get the airbox as is. Just sell the airbox for $1,000.
Do you know, or start looking and see if there's an STL file for it? We can print an airbox, at least in a couple pieces.
Well, if I was going to do anything, if I wanted to just preserve that airbox, I'd take a later model black CB 750, which I have. I could put a later model airbox in there.
Yeah. And put the broken one in a box for posterity.
Put the unbroken one in a box and just never touch it.
Take the one that you have right now.
Yeah.
And
John, what's in that glass container over there? That
this
with
comes
the
with
lights
it. Good luck.
Those were my testicles.
And your red turn signal lenses.
My wife has those.
Your red turn signal lenses go with it. All the brittle shit goes with it. Today when I was cleaning out my warehouse, I found a set of Honda Black Bomber gas tank embellishers.
Nice.
And I'm a little scared to see what those are worth. And because they're going to be a lot of money. I fear that they're going to be more than I want to know about. Because yes, the repops are $75, right?
But you got those. That was an original set you got with that one bike.
The one bike I got an absolutely correct original
OEM.
factory set OEM. Yeah, and they're just or new old stock, I guess, right?
NOF.
But yeah, it ain't none of these. That's for sure. It ain't none of these. So
those ones, no.
Yeah, I don't know what they're worth, but yeah, they're something. And that's kind of one of those items that you're like, you don't even want to put them on because you know that when you put them on.
That's for somebody who has done a jewel-like restoration on their bike.
Right.
I'll use that would be the cherry on the cake of that restoration.
I'll use these $40 ones off eBay, and I'll live with it. Okay, here you go, $425. Wow. So yeah, $425 for those are for a 300.
That's a 300. That's a Super Huck.
That's a Super Huck or a Dream or something. Yeah, but $495 is the only set I could find that was legit and real. So anyway, but I found them today and they were in the package, Honda labels and stuff from 1965.
No, the next time I'm over it there, I'm going to look for those fuckers.
I hid them fucking proper. I hid the shit out of those things. Yeah, I was like, whoa, man, that's amazing.
I have a list of things I want to steal out of that.
And I did find a 1970 Honda CB750 tip-up seat. It was in good shape.
Very nice.
So I found a couple of items that I just had.
You're just going to rub that in mind.
I just had forgotten they were out there. Well, there's a whole CL450 in there that's literally that we got from Russ's estate. And he bought the thing and had intentions of doing a nut and bolt restoration. And then he, left this mortal coil. And so that's sitting out there as like a, 20-year restoration project once I'm not super busy. So that's.
I have a set of Honda Dream turn singles.
See, that's an item.
Weird little
square
cast brackets and everything like
those
that.
Those are fucking. That's rocking horse shit right there too. Like that kind of stuff is so cool, but it's really hard to come by. And if you get into the minutia of doing some kind of a cool old restoration on a bike, you can go down a rabbit hole, easy on OEM stuff. Like fuck, man, it'll make you crazy.
Literally any vintage bike.
Yeah, any vintage bike. Yeah.
I just bought a set of bullseyes for the TS250.
You did. Yeah.
It's going to get the bar end turn singles.
Those are called Oxaugen.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ox eyes. And they've got, did you get the ones with the metal housings and the little orange lenses?
Yeah, they're chrome with,
Hella style.
So you can see them both.
So cool.
Because that's your front and rear turn signals. Just out there on the end.
Why would it be any other way? It makes perfect fucking sense.
Tell them about your bar ends for your KLR.
Oh, those are beautiful. Like
I was
post-industrial.
Oh my God, I was so blown away when he showed up, and I was like, I've been doing this wrong my whole life. I've been using factory bar end weights to stabilize the bar, shaking and stuff like that. And he comes up with the biggest set of truck nuts I've ever seen.
Inch and an eighth.
Inch and a fucking eighth. Standard on a metric bike, you fucking heathen. These nuts were bigger than like Brahma bull balls.
They're factory, they're for flanges at work.
Yeah, no shit. These things, and it's like he's got like this giant one, and he's got like a reducer, and he's got like another one and another one, and he finally gets out to the size. It looked like a little fucking teepee of stolen SAE hardware.
That was all scrap.
It was all scrap. It's like, you know what? You got like $18 worth of scrap on your handlebars. Because I took the truck in the other day with the crates from the last shipment of bikes I got in, and it was a properly full pickup truck bed but it's just steel. Steel is worth very little. It's going up, my friends. I got $84.
Yeah, I scrapped about probably 800 pounds of shit that's been accumulating, Fiat parts, and shit like that, and
priceless.
I've got quite a bit of money for it.
It's like
I was surprised.
$220 a ton now.
I was shocked that I got $84, and it took me a half an hour to load the truck, and it took me a half an hour to drive it over and unload it. $84 an hour is good money. That was sitting out in front of my shop for 2 days. Somebody could have made $84.
Mm-hmm. Do you hear somebody tapping on their phone?
Tap.
Bringing down the sound quality of the podcast?
Awful. I was answering a question. It was the viewer, the podcast.
It's a viewer.
They better be a Patreon.
If they aren't, they should be.
They will be now because I answered their question.
You shamed them.
All right.
You shamed them into Patreonage.
Do we have any mail this week?
Of course we do.
I mean, I'm not upset that you were doing that, but you could at least turn down your mic when you're doing it.
Yeah. Who uses their phone with like the tappy tap turned up?
I don't know. So I downloaded an app and my whole phone has reset itself because of this app. So I'm getting there. Relax. Yeah.
This is funny. So you post shit up on YouTube and you get people just that like instantly feel like they must fucking hate on you. Mm-hmm. So you guys remember we posted up a video a long time ago where our buddy 650 IB or Ebe, he comes out and he brings his brand new Kawasaki H2 with all the fancy shit, and he comes out to the shop, and we did a little bit of a riding around on the Zero electric motorcycles, which back then were pretty, the SR version. And after riding around, we decided we were going to have a little quarter-mile drag, but our local quarter-mile drag strip was closed, so we had to kind of run through the neighborhood. And so we posted that up. He posted it up. It's got 83 majillion hits, whatever, because it's 650 IB, and he's fun to watch. But we posted a little thing about Zero history and stuff, and this guy fucking lit into us, and he's just like, That video doesn't tell me shit. There's no way in hell you beat a Kawasaki H2 mother. That you're in some fucking neighborhood and you're just trying to sell the things and you're just 100% full of shit. Whatever. I was like, okay. So I just posted up the link to the 650 IB. Like, I'm not full of shit. That's his video that he shot. Like, he edited it. He put it together. That's him on the Kawasaki H2. It's not me. It's not my video. I'm not making any money on it. It's his video. It's him doing his thing.
And he owns not the Zero, but the other
He
bike.
owns the H2, the bike
Right.
that lost.
Right.
And he published it.
Right.
So I was like, so don't bitch at me like I'm some kind of fucking liar. That's him that posted that.
You may be many things, but not that.
Again, and if you ever catch me in a lie, it's only to save my own goddamn ass, I promise you.
Or to make his story really good.
To make the story better, right. We're only here to increase the entertainment factor. But so I was like, dude, and then I find another one of a Zero humiliating a Ducati in a drag race, like a Panigale or something. And he writes, Cleveland Moto, well, I'll be damned. The first video was two buddies in a residential area. Doesn't tell me anything. The second video with the Ducati was legit. Won't beat an H2 at top speed, but yeah, it's fast off the jump.
Yeah, duh.
So again, I'm going to go back to what I said.
No Zero, the H2 is known for going 211 miles an hour or something. Nobody ever said a Zero.
Nobody
could do
was
that.
even trying to suggest that shit. But anyway, so this is one of these things I'm going to tell you guys, you keyboard warriors out there, you denizens of the digital domain, go fuck your hat.
Phil, you don't owe anybody an explanation.
Exactly.
You are legit.
Thank you.
And that's all that matters.
That's all. And it's just one of those things you're just like, come on, guys. When you guys talked about being a better customer and like the people that show up to buy things, take a second and honestly think about what you're going to do when you show up to buy something. Have a plan. Don't be making it up as you go. What if the situation? Do a little role playing in the car on the way there. Be prepared to do things like, oh, I don't know, buy the bike. Like that might be a good thing. Like think about what your exit strategy is going to be.
Well, not only that, but like in that situation, you don't have two ununpadium things
Right.
where nobody else in the world could possibly put them together at a race.
Right.
Like they're two bikes that are readily available. A lot of people have one, a lot of people have the other.
Right.
So, it's like you're going to call something out that you can prove eventually. If you really had to, you could probably call the guy and be like, okay, we're going to go to Dragway 42 in June. If you pay us to do this, we'll do it. And you can even show up if
Right.
you want.
Unless you have those two bikes
Right.
and you've come up with a different outcome yourself,
Right.
fuck off.
Fuck off. And the worst thing is, yes, the weapon that you're using is YouTube.
Yeah.
Your sounding board is YouTube. And if you spend another 11 seconds on YouTube, you could debunk your own mystery or debunk your own bullshit. So it is one of those things.
Specs are available.
Yes, they are.
Reviews, tests are available to show, how fast each of those bikes goes, 0 to 60.
And 90% of the people that they dog Zeros have never ridden one.
Nah.
Because if you have, it's a permagrin. Yeah, it's not going to go 200 miles an hour, but god damn, from 0 to 100, it's pretty
You
fucking
can
good.
appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fair. That really is fair. There's very little else that you can do in the motorcycle world other than throw your leg over the fucking thing and go ride it. And
The same person probably has no problem believing that a Tesla is beating Mustangs and everything else.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know. There's a dude making a lot of money on the street racing scene because nobody believes Teslas are that fast. And this dude's out there just
You know what? That's
smoking
got to be
people.
painful.
Yeah.
That's got to be fucking painful. Because, we do it. I do it out here for free on the Zero. So, we got an answer for your bike, Steve. Your Zero that had the mystery charging, or it wasn't mystery charging. Some Zeros have a problem where you run them down to 30%, you park them for 20 minutes, you go back, and all of a sudden they're at 40% or 50% or something.
I was doing that too.
Yeah. So, but your real complaint was that you would charge it up to 100%, and then you'd go drive it for an impossibly short distance, and it would drop down to 94%, right?
Right.
So it's kind of what we thought it was going to be, but we were very happy to see that the Zero people absolutely confirmed it, because we ran the logs and we checked all the history of the bike out, because we didn't want to just stab at it, right? But it is beautiful that the solution to your problem was plugging it in to the wall.
I don't.
So here's what it is on Zeros, and for people who own Zeros out in podcast land, or people who are like, I've heard these batteries or whatever. These batteries inside your bike, there's two batteries. There's
Right.
two 3.6 kilowatt hour, or in mine, there's 3.6s. Yours are 2.6, or because you have
I have a 6.5.
So you have 6.5. So you have 3.25s. So two 3.25s. Well, batteries go out of balance internally, and there'll be this deviation between the voltages of these batteries. And when there's a deviation in the voltages of the batteries, then one of them will get to, say, full, and the other one won't be at full yet. So what happens is when one's at full, it says I'm full. And it sends a message that says I'm full, and the other one doesn't get to be full yet. So zeros, if you leave them plugged in for a couple of days, the other one catches up. And so the one that was a little bit lower the cells do get fully charged up. So
I'm good to go.
their recommendation was leave it plugged in for 2 or 3 days. So we left it plugged in for 2 or 3 days, and you got an A on your report card now. So
Okay, I'm glad. But
I don't know if
it's been plugged in for days. I mean, I don't ride it every single day.
Yeah, but I was wondering, are you the kind of person that like plugs it in and then unplugs it?
No, I plug because I can't because the button battery in the speedometer is dead.
Ah, okay, yeah.
And if I do that, if I unplug it, then it resets the clock.
It resets the clock.
There's a coin cell in the zero.
Yeah, well, so not just in the zero.
No, it pisses me off. And you can't replace the battery. You have to replace the entire dashboard.
Right. So not just in the zero. This is a thing that chaps my ass about so many electric vehicles. The Harley Davidson, the Zero, the Energica, and pretty much every goddamn thing. These things will have as many as 3 fucking batteries in them. Mm-hmm. The big ass motherfucking battery, which has enough power to run the sun or jumpstart the sun if you needed to. Then they'll have a 12 volt battery. Mm-hmm. And that's there to run your ABS and your safety equipment and your lighting and shit like that. So God forbid, we are in such a point in our life with technology where we are so risk averse. We will just keep adding batteries of different voltages to the system so that we don't just rely on one big fucking battery to do its job. So since we're worried, because somebody once said, well, but then my battery died in my Zero and my turn signals didn't work and I got scared. Or my brake light wouldn't work and I got scared. Or whatever. Or if my battery in my Zero got really, really low, my ABS might not work anymore or whatever. So what they do is they'll do like all the things. So rather than in the old days, what we would do, we'd have a DC to DC converter. So we would have a big fucking battery that would be 100 volts or more. And then we'd have a DC to DC converter on there that would knock everything down to 12 volts. So you had this wire that had 110 volts on it or 106 volts. Don't touch that one with your mouth. And then the other one would be like 12 volts, which you could lick if you were brave, right? And that ran all the automotive-y kind of crap. And then this one ran the big honking torquey thing, right?
I don't know if I want to lick the 12-volt one.
Honestly, not even, right? So the 9 volts are enough to rock your world a little bit. But so now, though, what about the dashboard? Oh, well, we got to put a button cell up in that motherfucker because, we don't want the dashboard data to go away if you were to lose the
why don't they put a fucking EEPROM in there?
Well, here's the thing is if a lithium cell is so low that it can't power whatever clock or bullshit is in the dashboard, it's fucked.
Yes,
so,
I totally agree. Yes.
What's the point?
Yep. And we have seen these 12 volt batteries, these 12 volt, ballistic batteries, to throw a brand name under the bus, or zero gravity or whoever. We've seen these batteries in these bikes that, keep in mind, the bike is only as good as the engineers who've tried to program it to compensate for your stupid ass. Like, I wish a zero electric motorcycle had a knob on top of it. And knob had 3 settings: off, run, and sleep. Right? So it would need off, run, and sleep. Because what they've done is they've built these systems in that say, okay, well, if you're in goddamn Cleveland, Ohio in the wintertime, right? And we want you to be able to think about riding your bike today, well, then we have to run a little heater. If you look, I think I passed it around for you guys. That little zero gravity battery had a little heating pad around it. It had a little resistive heater that, of course, heat takes electricity. Well, where does it get the electricity from, my friends? Mm-hmm. The fucking battery.
Oh, and I've heard of like some people who have the lithium batteries. If it's cold out, they'll turn it on, have the headlight going for a little while.
Absolutely. We have been living with lithium shit for a long time. We don't need to put a heater pack on the battery, but I can kind of understand for people who want to just get on the bike and go, to make the bike instantly ready to have that 12 volt battery there. And if the battery gets too fucking cold, It's not going to work. So what do? Well, we put a heating pad on the battery. Well, because heat's free. So if you're not riding your bike and you're not riding your bike and I'm not riding my bike, we're not plugging the fucker in. It's just there. So yes, we used to be able to plug a 0 in October, ride it down to 65%, unplug the son of a bitch, and it would stay at 65% until March, or maybe 64%. It would lose like 1%. But now, because the bike goes, I have to be ready, I'm going to keep that battery warm. So now you park it at 65%, and until the bike goes, oh, it's been 30 days, I need to go into hibernation mode. For that 30 days, it's constantly going to try to keep that bike, the battery warm and everything ready to be optimally like flight line ready that you might need to take off at Mach 1 and chase down the Ruskies.
So you keep it at 75% then and let it wear down to 65%?
Guys are getting all kinds of results. Guys are getting all kinds of weird shit. My opinion would be the knob on the top that says off and then sleep. And when you twist the knob to sleep, guess what it does? It shuts everything off.
Or just the mode button. You could have you can have it in mode for like hibernation mode, and then put it in hibernation mode.
Giving it 30 days before it goes to sleep is a little too long, because the idea here in Cleveland is what happens is we get like a nice day every 21 and a half days, and somebody goes out to their garage and goes, I'm going to check on the status of my 0. And they turn the key on. They're not riding anywhere. They're not even wearing pants. And they go turn the fucking key on their bike. And what happens? You just woke the motherfucker up out of like it was counting down the days to hibernation. And you just reset the clock, dumb fuck. So now the bike is going to wait another 30 days. Well, pretty soon it's never going to go into hibernation mode because you got to go out and check it. Like, how many times do you open your refrigerator door to see whether or not the light went out?
So there's no way to put it in hibernation.
My light never goes out.
Exactly.
But there's no way to put it in hibernation mode. Like, okay, I'm done. I'm putting it. Done.
No. It times out after 30 days. So, yes, I want there to be a knob somewhere that is literally just off, on, and hibernate.
But the weird part about lithium batteries, and I know this from, flying drones for a long time, like the Inspire 1 at some point, like they found out in colder weather, when it got below, I think it was like 15 or 20 degrees Fahrenheit or, -1 or 2 Celsius, the shit would just fall out of the air.
Yeah.
So they actually had little battery warmers that went around the back and they'd kick on it. So it's weird. Like the lithium batteries will work to a certain extent and they completely just fail.
No, that what I noticed too, because I ride it in the cold, that it derates it immediately, like almost immediately. If I take it out, it won't go fast.
Right.
When it warms up just a hair, I can get maximum speed out of it.
Right.
But only for a little bit.
Right.
Then it derates it, like by 10 miles an hour. Then it derates it again by 10 miles an hour. So if the top speed on my FXS is 85, all of a sudden it's derated down to like 59 miles an hour, and you could have full throttle, and that's all you'll get out of it is 59 miles an hour,
and you
60
have
miles an hour.
You're in heated storage. It was in the garage there with heat, so it wasn't like it was cold, unless it's because it was warm, and then you took it outside, and then all of a sudden
That's
it got
where
cold.
I'm coming. When it's okay, it's okay until I get most of the way home, and then it gets derated.
Yeah.
But then when I'm at home, I charge it up and come back, and then it's derated almost the whole time because it just can't push anything.
Yeah.
Well, because those batteries probably have some, method of cooling in them that, as the air goes past them, it's supposed to be cooled off like that under normal circumstances.
They absolutely do. I mean, any
Did you try putting a piece of cardboard in front of the radiator?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's a damn fine idea. I
talked with the people at Zero, and
like
they
the
said
sound of
that's
that.
what you should do.
I'd do it tomorrow.
Yeah, I like the sound of that a lot. So you guys wanted some feedback. So coming up real quick is the Portland One show. So please, guys, all of the misfits are going to be there. Go to the Portland One show. I can't. I'm too fucking busy right now. I can't go. I would love to go. I feel a strip club calling me and a big
I said
fucking
that same
steak.
thing today.
I know. God damn it.
I'm overdue
because-
for my annual visit.
I know.
The riots moved to Minnesota, so you don't have to worry about that.
Look,
There's a brass pole in Oberlin.
No, that's not Oberlin. That's Carlisle Township.
Okay.
Oh, so it's really important to know the difference between those two things. But people are like, oh, well, Portland's whatever war zone. It's not. I have way too many people that like the scariest thing about Portland is going to be the people at the one show. That's going to be the most frightening thing. It'll be people trying to negotiate Dogecoin versus Bitcoin in the aisle and slowing things down.
Hey, Pi Coin's where it's at.
Pi coin?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we don't know yet.
But we're
mining.
Yeah, we're mining every day.
More miners. So one of the great things one of our podcast listeners said is we were talking about kiwi. Like how kiwi wax, kiwi boot wax and stuff like that is important, and everyone should know about it, and hitting it with flame and making it into a molten liquid wax that penetrates your stuff and makes it awesome. This guy says, old marine trick, buff. Do your final buff with pantyhose after brushing. Looks like a flawless spit shine in less than 30 seconds. I didn't know that, so that's fucking cool. That's very cool. I dig that.
You know what I finally bought?
What did you get?
Shoe stretchers. So all these like leather boots that fit, but after 10 minutes you're like, fuck, my feet hurt, and you have to break them in. Fuck that, dude. I bought shoe stretchers.
The wooden ones?
Yeah.
The proper cedar
proper
ones?
wooden ones that and they have, and they're for boots, so they have like a U joint, looks like a transaxle.
You can screw them. Yeah.
It's so
proper.
good.
Yeah, very good stuff. So John Carden would like to say that John McElfresh's job is to keep the podcast on track at all times. Dan Kromke's job is to derail John McElfresh with liquor.
Hell yeah.
That is fucking brilliant.
That is factual.
That is great. I love that. So that is just fucking perfect. That's excellent.
John, what were the topics that we're going to be talking about today?
We're not. What happened?
If I know.
You listened to the last two podcasts. We were very careful. We made sure to list all the podcasts that we're going to talk about. We covered all the bases.
I tried to keep us on track.
Kept us on track and everything else. And honestly, not one person commented and said how happy they were about it. So fuck it. We'll never do it again.
All right,
Well, I don't think we actually stayed on track, but it's all right.
Oh, wait a second.
I thought we were supposed to not.
Oh, okay. Right. I thought we stayed on track by not being on track.
Totally on track then.
It was totally on track. Did anybody see the Ham Yak ATV?
Yes.
Right?
The what?
Yeah, no shit. The Ham Yak ATV. So I'm going to put it up on the big screen here for the visually impaired. So the spelling on this is kind of weird. It's H-A-M, like you're eating ham. And yak is like if you ate too much ham. So it's Ham Yak ATV, and it is a real thing. It looks like it's from the future I want to be in. It is literally...
Holy...
a big ass... That's a snowmobile track, guys.
It's a track.
So it's a single snowmobile track.
And that's it.
And that's all you get. It is a single snowmobile track.
Is that how you sit on it?
No, that's a hipster. That's a guy posting his pictures to Instagrambles.
That's from Highway.
Okay.
They've moved
Highway's moved into this particular venue. But I like everything about it. It screams Mid-Ohio and nothing else.
Yeah.
Okay, it's smaller than I first thought it would be.
Yes, it is 50cc scooter size.
Okay.
But how do you turn?
You just lean.
I think you have to actually drag a foot or something.
Probably. Yeah. Do you know the magic that we had when we had that Y-Zinger?
Because I watched the video,
right,
and it was the guy riding it in a straight line and kind of doing a wheelie and doing this.
Yeah.
And then he got off of it and kind of did like a donut thing.
Yep.
At no point did he actually turn.
No. I don't think the steering handlebars go anywhere.
Right.
I think it's just you muscle it around. But the thing was, when we were riding the Y-Zinger, like the piece of my childhood that I never got to have because I was financially challenged. But like when I finally got one, I was shocked to find out that you don't ride those like you're supposed to.
Oh.
That like you do everything the wrong way.
Nick found that out at my house.
Oh yeah. And it was incredibly intuitive once you get on it. I rode your Big Red.
Yeah.
And it's like riding around on the pavement at first, I was like, this is kind of weird. But as soon as I got onto the grass and got comfortable with it, it's like, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah. And it's everything you know about motorcycles, but reverse.
You're leaning
into the turn. You actually lean the bike out of the turn.
Exactly.
And pick up the inside wheel.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so if you pick up the inside wheel, you're now using two different legs of the triangle, and the bike turns. Mm-hmm. So the direction of the handlebars is totally insignificant. And that's, I think, what this does. I think the idea behind the Ham Yak ATV, and of course it's Russian, right? I mean, it's got to be. There's no getting around. This thing is as Russian as they fucking come. Like, this can't be anything but Russian. I mean,
You don't think it's Chinese?
I don't know.
I like
Every time
what-
I see a picture of it, it's got one of these Russian fucking crazy 4x4 floaty vehicles in the background.
Well, those I think are Ukrainian. The Sherp.
The
Yep,
Sherps.
the Sherp.
Yeah, the Sherps. So every time I see one of these ham yaks, there's a Sherp in the background, and that means one thing. Eastern Bloc.
Dude, those Sherps are impressive.
Of course they are.
They are so impressive.
And I think P. Diddy will buy you one if he just likes you. I think he's bought like a bunch of those for people he knows.
delivery outside.
Oh shit! Look at that. We sure do. Probably 16 bikes just waiting. Yeah. God,
They
it
just
wouldn't shock me. They've got a new distributor now, and they're fucking freaked
Guy
out.
starts knocking on the door.
Yeah. Got 16 bikes for you. Man, go fuck your hat, dude.
at
It's
9
late.
o'clock, at 9:30 at night.
We get people calling here at 9 o'clock, 9:30 at night wanting a spark plug. Not even unusual. Totally on the rag. Like, yeah, I need a spark plug for my kimchi or whatever the fuck.
Are they loading my Helix?
Yeah,
Oh, they're taking off.
it's shipped.
They got your bike.
Delta Freight Systems. They just took your Helix. So yeah, that fucking ham yak, that is baller. I love that thing. Ben Big sent me that, and I'm just like, dude, that shit is fucking cool.
Is there any word on how much those cost?
I don't know. But you have to do your own research. Like, we're not going to give you the whole thing, just the tip.
Do you want it painted? It's 5 bowls of borscht.
Borscht is good.
Yeah, I'm not dogging it. I'm
For
saying.
many rubles you put inside your Sherp. But he also said the KTM 1290 Duke RR sold out in 48 minutes. And a waiting list was created. I'm going to tell you, I've been in this industry for a long time. Nothing sells out in 48 minutes. It takes 6 months to get to the fucking dealer sometimes. Look, if this is what I think it is, which is a
Naked sport bike.
What's the best way to sell a bike? Or what's the best way to sell anything? Tell them that you can't get
that's
it.
exactly
Oh,
right.
I was gonna say make it a CT 125.
That's also
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Well, they just don't make those. I mean, they just
Well, hold on.
pick up
Did they
12
say
of
how
them.
many they made? Yeah, I was going to say they had 10 of them. So, yeah, they sold out in 40.
500. So as usual, when it comes to special edition models, KTM used an online sales platform to get the RR going. And as usual, the entire limited production run of just 500 units was spoken for by customers from around the world. So yeah, this isn't going into your dealership and buying one. This is like going online and saying, I want to buy a Cybertruck, and putting in a $100 deposit, maybe or maybe not. But it does say that in attempt to give those left without some hope, the bike maker said that there is a waiting list that has been created in case your previous reservation was canceled. So that's just marketing shit. That's not really. I mean, you can say it. That's great, but you don't have to back that up at all.
Well, that's like everybody that put down payments on the new Bronco, the Ford
Yes,
Bronco,
yes.
and then
Right.
it came out and it didn't look like.
Well, no, they came out with the Bronco Sport.
Sport.
I have yet to see an actual new Ford Bronco.
True that.
Right.
I've
There's
seen
videos of them, but
I
I've
have
never
seen
seen one in real life.
plenty of Ford Escapes
But it
with a
looks
different
like-
grill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, it looks like a Jeep Liberty or something. Like it's not the one that like everybody was like, oh my God, this thing's awesome.
Right.
Like it just never happened as far as I see.
Every time I see one of those things, I'm like, oh shit, that literally looks like the bastard child between like a Fiat Dodge product, and the cheapest Land
Well,
Rover.
it's the equivalent of a Jeep Renegade.
It is. You're right. Yeah, it does not look sexy in any of the good ways.
You know what? You know what they need to bring back is the FJ40.
Well, I
I
mean,
totally agree.
Yeah.
the FJ Cruiser was a shot at that. Like they tried to do that with the FJ
But
Cruiser,
it's not the 40, man.
but the trick is it
It's on a
had
60 frame, though, I think. The Cruiser.
The FJ Cruiser?
is on a 60 frame.
Well, the FJ Cruiser is subscribing to all of the things that make things suck. It's built for big, fat, lazy Americans. And so you can't take an FJ40, which was basically just a version of a Jeep, a Japanese version of a Jeep, and then say, okay, well, we're gonna make it wider. Okay, you're going to make it wider. We're going to make it longer. Okay, we got to make it comfortable. Okay, we got to put air conditioning in it. Okay, we got to put 18 airbags in it. Okay, great. We got to make it get 22 miles a gallon. Great. And what you end up with is a Bradley fighting vehicle, because like everybody has the best intentions to build a thing that's going to do the thing and be historically accurate.
Yeah.
But like the closest anybody's ever gotten to any of that shit is like the clown car that is the Volkswagen Beetle, the new Volkswagen Beetle. Or the
Sweet ass HHR.
Oh God.
Okay, how about instead? How about the Mini, the BMW Mini?
Yeah.
Which like has a longer wheelbase than a Land Rover Discovery.
Well,
So,
the 2003 was pretty cool. 2003 to 5 wasn't.
No, the early ones were good, and
Yeah,
now they have like the Clubman.
Yeah, they don't
It's
look
the
like a
size
Mini
of
at all.
a
No,
minivan.
even just the regular Mini is huge.
Yes.
now.
Yes. A Mini is not a small car by any standard.
No,
So-
but I had a 2003 and an S, and it was a real European car because like it had electrical problems, it leaked water. Like,
No cup holders.
it was made in Mexico. It was like a real European car. Did you have another one of those red chicken wings or those red chicken fillets?
Oh, yeah.
Those things are fucking flamethrower, man. I can smell it from here, and it's kind of making my eyes water.
And I didn't think it was that hot.
hey, how's the plumbing
another
at
one,
the shit
Steve.
plant? You're gonna,
My God,
John's
man.
going to cause his own backup tomorrow at the shit plant.
He might.
He does every day. I mean,
It's cool because if you run outside really fast, you can see your turd going down.
I'm going to eat this entire bowl of corn, and I'm not going to leave here until I watch it leave. That sounds
He's
perfect.
going to number him.
you okay, big fella?
My ass is gonna fucking burn tomorrow.
I fell into a burning ring of fire.
I think drinking beer makes it worse.
I go to Cozumel and I order a pint of habanero salsa, and everybody there says you're the only people in this whole city that orders that. And then every time they make it hotter, and I'm like, well, they want to make it hotter so you don't order it anymore.
Okay, that makes sense.
But they can't make it hot enough for us not to order it. So every single time we go in there, they make it hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. And it's like my daughter and I just eat the whole thing, and it's great.
Oh, man. Well, then you're winning. I mean, you're fooling them is ultimately
Right.
The last time they gave us, those little styrofoam things. They're about this big.
Yeah.
Last time they gave us one this big.
Shit.
Like, maybe this will kill them.
Yeah.
Maybe they will never come back.
At least you don't have to worry about cancer ever in your life
This is true.
because
You
like
burned it
there's
all right
no
out.
way that you're gonna between the whiskey and the hot food. There's like
That's
fuck
true.
this guy. I'm moving on.
The problem is those are so tasty. It tastes so
they're
good.
so delicious, but they're so fucking hot.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm not getting anywhere near those fucking things, man. That is bad news walking.
That's it.
You see, it's the same thing. You know, Irish 6 inches
Yeah.
on the hot scale, and Irish 10.
Right.
You know, give me the hot 10. Give me the 10 hot sauce. You're number 10.
That's ketchup. That's what my buddies just tease me all the time. They're like, "Wow, you got the medium sauce at Taco Bell. You're really living life dangerously over there, Phil." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I like a little flavor in my food. I'll go with the medium sauce." Yeah, they're like, "Yeah, we saw you put ketchup away because it was too spicy." I'm better now. I don't do that shit anymore. It used to be really bad, but it's not so bad anymore. It has been not confirmed. You guys, there is this fucking debate over AMA Vintage Days.
What?
AMA Vintage Days. So, they've said that they're not going to open up the camping sites, like start selling camping sites. The date April 26th has been thrown around quite heavily. But it is not possible right now on the AMA Vintage Days website to you can buy tickets. You can kind of get your body into the place. But campsites and vendor spaces are not yet. They said if you have your spaces from last year, they're going to honor that shit. You're good to go, which of course they would. But we're still in a weird spot.
Well, people were talking about reserving campsites. You never can reserve a campsite. You can buy it. But when you get there, you have to go stake it out.
What I think they're talking about are these campsites that are the ones that have power.
Oh, the ones along the
That are right along the
straightaway.
track. Yeah, that are right along the straightaway. And I think those are the campsites they're talking about. They've got electricity on site. That's it. There's no toilet. There's no dump or anything. It's just a plug. But I think those are the reserved sites because they are expensive. And what is interesting is because there hasn't been a lot of events at Mid-Ohio, the people that would normally just be camped there and fucking stay there for weeks on end aren't there. So that might be why they're doing the ability for us to buy those sites.
Now, one person said that they had site 121 and
I saw that.
127.
Yeah.
So is
I
that
think
what they had
that's
from
what they had
year?
last year.
Yeah.
I looked into, I drilled down into that post, and it wasn't like that was what they contacted them this year and booked and got those spots in the swap meet or spots in the camping, but they were spots that were from last year.
I'm looking at it's probably going to be $300 if I want to, for getting a motorhome and everything in there.
Yeah. We all know that with Mid-Ohio, the camping part of it, having your camper, because you could put your camper in the overflow parking. There's no reason you couldn't do that. There's absolutely no reason, except for being one of the guys that we saw up there in the overflow parking 2 years ago that were being pulled out by daisy chained tractor hook to tractor hook to tractor, right? And those guys were proper fucked. Like those big, giant, crazy 63-foot long toy haulers that were they were under the mud because the grass up there is like creme brulee. You don't go up into that area if there is a suggestion of moisture.
Which there is every year.
It's almost guaranteed.
If you go like right into the middle where there's actually still sort of a gravel. Up to the top and go right to the highest, very level part. That's
where we put the bus the 1 year, where we got in there and it was wet, and we got that high ground, and we were perfectly safe until we decided to go to Leuven Moto Corner.
Well, yeah.
Until we decided to go to the disco after pictures of margaritas. But like that camping angle, if you want to camp in the campsite, which is fucking massive. And over by the dirt bike racing, there is a quiet camping area, family camping area that people do actually keep it quiet. The problem is you're 300 meters away from me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to keep it quiet. So if I'm going to be where we are and we're doing the kind of noise we're doing, and then the guys 300 meters from us are Leuven Moto Corner, they're doing what they're doing until the sun comes up most of the time. So yeah, there's going to be two-stroke shit.
You might have a point in the night where there won't be two strokes whizzing by your head while you're sleeping in your your tent.
Yeah, that's true. And so they do button it down pretty good over in the dirt bike pits because they do
family area,
and they have to get up at like 7 o'clock and to get ready for racing and shit. So that is the thing.
As much as people maybe were kind of upset that we weren't in the mix the 1 year, it was nice to wake up and be able to be like, hey, let's have breakfast and not have a two-stroke blowing something in your pie hole when you're trying to make your breakfast or coffee or something like that. Like that was all right.
It was nice.
And also we were right next to the swap meet. So
yeah, that was nice too.
Yeah,
for me, it doesn't really matter too much because I'm up as soon as it's daylight. I'm up before 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
I'm ready to go. I'm waiting for 7 o'clock to start my bike up and go for a ride and go fuck around or whatever. And it doesn't matter if I was up until 5 o'clock in the morning. Maybe I just fall asleep for a couple hours.
You're gonna go for it for a few days.
That's an insomnia weekend.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm totally okay with it. I'll sleep 3 hours a night. That'll be great. It's $50 for the whole weekend just to buy a pass to walk in, and that's fucking great. I mean, that's cheap and that's a good time. It is funny that they've started this VIP club thing. I'm going to throw it up to the big screen so you guys can see it because it's kind of funny. The VIP club, when you read about the benefits of the VIP club, you get access to the Mid-Ohio deck. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm pretty sure that's part of the racing structure. It's like on the infield.
When have you not been able to go on there?
I don't know.
Because I've been up there every year.
Right. And I don't know if this is going to be like punk rock bowling where you pay this $100 and you go somewhere and they've got like a bar there and they got clean bathrooms, that kind of deal. You get a weekend general admission ticket, which would be $50, right? You get a continental breakfast on Saturday and Sunday. Now that's got to be worth at least $10 a piece right there. So Saturday and Sunday continental breakfast, that's worth $10. You get a catered lunch on Saturday and Sunday.
Oh.
You get light snacks on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which means they probably have a bag of chips, right?
Damn.
Sitting out on the table. A limited open bar with beer, wine, soft drinks, and water, and a cash bar with liquor sales. How is this not the best deal in the world?
Holy shit.
It's a great deal.
They have no idea what
great
they
deal.
have no idea what they're getting.
Right. How can we abuse this?
They will never do this.
They will never do it. This is the year to do it because they're thinking like, how much beer can these guys drink?
I am
challenge
not
accepted.
Joking. When I
limited, so that might mean they give you two tickets or something.
Well, then
to
it can't be an open bar.
It says a limited open bar.
Meaning that they only have like 1 or 2 beers. That's what limited. In my opinion,
I think it limits you to the amount.
Well, we're gonna put that to the test.
It would be stupid to say,
hey man, I'm gonna
unlimited. I mean, It has to be an amount. It can't just be what your selection is here. You have 2 beers.
Dude,
you can drink a billion of
There's
them.
at least 7 of us going. We all have hats and shirts. We can switch several times.
This is true.
I learned though in college, if you're willing to buy kegs, I can get it down to about $5 a person. How much it would cost.
Absolutely. I guarantee it is absolutely. Now they are going to hit you with a $10 order charge, so take that. I'm going to go ahead and see if it'll let you buy multiple tickets apparently, so that's nice. So that's cool. That's fine. That's badass. I'm going to go ahead and just fucking buy the thing and we'll see what happens and we'll report to our podcast listeners how it fucking worked.
Oh, yeah.
Because it doesn't appear to be anything weird and it hasn't, do you think I can drink $100 worth of open bar?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I have any problem at all drinking $100 worth of open bar. Plus of all the meals, come on. That's worth it, and it's $50 to get a ticket for this thing anyway. So, and the folks from AMA Vintage Days haven't contacted me yet to see if I would speak. So I'm not being compensated as a presenter in any way. So
Phil, I'm going to give you some 1-gallon Ziploc bags when you go to the Continental Breakfast.
Excellent idea. Yes, I need 14 pounds of scrambled eggs, please. Yes. Yep. It'll probably be one of those things that like Continental Breakfast is from 0600 to 0701,
Or you get a muffin and a cereal and
a box of cereal.
The Thursday night thing that they do at the Honda Corner where they give you like the hot dogs and stuff and the hamburgers. It's like I can never get there in time. Yeah. I always get there and it's like just fucking scraps, man, by the time I show up.
Well, and they had like a bag of chips and like we went by with the thing and I wasn't eating the hot dog, so I like put my thing out for some chips and the lady put like 4 chips on it. Oh, all right. Salad. Thanks, Honda.
Yeah,
you won't go hungry.
No,
you won't, will you? Well, apparently I was already enrolled in this thing.
There was only 1 bag of chips. You have to share.
Yeah, that's true. That is absolutely true.
And it was snack size.
Yep, I totally agree. So that's cool. What I was thinking about though for AMA Vintage Days is now that most of you guys have seen the status of the trailer or the warehouse, we're gonna have to sell some bikes. Like, I got to be there with my selling hat on. I can't just have my drinking hat on. And honestly, a lot of people that we were friends with probably aren't going to come out because, COVID or things or whatever. But I think I'm going to have to be there and really try to sell some shit. So I'm going to get 2 or 3 swap meet spaces. And I think we'll have some space. We'll have some space to put some stuff. And, as much as it pains me to think about it, yeah, I want to sell some stuff. I want to be that guy who rents a U-Haul trailer, towed behind a U-Haul truck, and delivers everything on Thursday, and then doesn't bring any of it home,
including the U-Haul.
No, the U-Hauls that shit gets returned the same day. Like those are the one-day rentals that they always brag about, but nobody can ever pull off. But I will do it. I'll be the guy who's like, fuck yeah, I'm going to pick it up right here and I'm going to return it right there in Lexington, at the only U-Haul place in Lexington. Yeah, I want to be the guy who actually pulls that move off because I would love to empty that warehouse by about 25 bikes.
Well, we have that whole row was designated to go to AMA, right?
Yeah, the entire row. That's 25, 30 bikes that we can all go to AMA Vintage Days. And I'm sure that between now and then we could get 9 of those bikes running.
I'd like to go over there and get first dibs.
Yeah.
I'm like,
what are we talking
those
about?
bikes are like, oh,
He wants the cushy seat Kimco.
That Kimco.
I'm not that interested, but it's not a bad bike. I mean, like,
I will tell you, first of all, for Mid-Ohio, that thing's a sweetheart. And it was at Mid-Ohio 2 years ago, and nobody bought it. So we had it there. We had it marked down to like $600 or something, and nobody bought it. And like some dude came up and he was like, well, if that thing's still here on Monday or Sunday, I'm going to buy it. Crickets, man. That guy never showed up. It starts, it runs, it hauls anything you want to haul. It's a big, comfy scooter.
But the seat is so butt ugly.
The seat is butt-ugly. It is.
What's it look like when your ass is sitting on it?
Right, exactly. It's invisible.
So
it's like a Russell Daylong. It's ugly as fuck.
I'm sure there's
but you're like this. This is the dashboard. Because it pushes you so far forward that you're.
It absolutely does. Like, not joking. It
Pretty
pushes
sure
you
I
into the
saw
dashboard.
a Grand Vista 250 seat laying like
Right next to it.
right next to it somewhere.
There
over
is. We have plenty of those, man.
I mean, that's not like.
Yeah. That's not a deal breaker. Not even close to being a deal breaker. So, yeah, I mean, there's bikes that are there that we know they work because they worked at Mid-Ohio 2 years ago.
There were a couple crash Vespas I was trying to work James like a dirty deal from.
Oh, those modern Vespas? Yeah, so I've got 2 crashed modern Vespas that one of them's fuel injected too. One of them's 150 and it's fuel injected.
I already know that.
I know, right? Yeah. So
James said I could have that for $400.
He did not. He did not tell you
What
that.
did Renee say John was?
I don't know. What did he say?
No, Renee.
Oh, yeah, a punter. John turned into a punter.
Yep.
Like John suddenly became a punter.
I don't know why.
I don't know if he just became a punter.
I think he's got a long history of punting.
I thought it was funny though. I
I
mean,
bought a bike. I bought stuff. I just bought a bunch of other stuff. Fine stuff.
yeah.
Why shouldn't I prosper?
Why should not I prosper? Like, and that, I mean, that is the hilarious thing is you get in that position where you're like, okay, you're going to sell your friend a bike. So like, that's weird because you're like, we all play together and you've bought bikes from me.
Blade,
You've
I was
bought
trying
bikes
to,
from me.
I was trying to get guys in the lunchroom. I'm like, okay, we got to call Phil. Somebody's
Yes.
got to offer him $2,500 for that Versi right now.
Absolutely. Right.
I want 10 guys to call him and just beat him up. I want him to schedule appointments, test rides, not show up. I want him begging to get rid of that Versi.
Yep, exactly. And then, so when I call and offer you 3, you're just doing me a favor, right? I mean, there's no,
I felt like you were doing a favor for what you sold it for me. You quoted me a price and I paid it, and I'm happy.
And exactly, and that's it. And when
Except
I saw
for
you,
it's only got 60 horsepower.
oh, it's only got 60 horsepower. Clearly, that's a problem.
Why even
Yeah.
buy a bike with 60 horsepower?
Oh man, true dat. Yeah.
Tuned for the low and mid range.
Yes.
He was
Yes.
eating PC 800.
Optimized.
He was eating PC 800 dust all day.
Man.
Oh shit! That's all I got to say.
He couldn't keep up.
I was trying not to go too close to it because I was afraid it was going to just fall apart. There's shit falling off of it.
Hey, Smith's ultimate bike on the way home from your place on Saturday.
Yeah.
It has hazard lights apparently, and they came on and he couldn't shut them off. He had no way to figure out.
I'm glad he's not here. Because we got to talk some shit on Chris Smith right quick.
Oh boy.
So Chris Smith owns the Moto Guzzi California 1400.
And he's letting James have it for like 2 weeks.
I didn't know that.
That's what James told me. He's like, Chris Smith asked me to ride the Moto Guzzi to make sure that there's nothing wrong with it. He's going to let me ride it for 2 weeks. He's like, hell yeah, I'm going to ride it.
That's hilarious. I mean, that is ridiculous.
So
But
let me ride it for 2
okay,
weeks.
that motorcycle has an alarm system,
Yeah.
right? And that motorcycle has got ABS. It's got traction control. It's a modern
Cruise control.
It's a modern cutting edge motorcycle. He has never successfully started that motorcycle in the history of his ownership. And he's also called me to say, I got 4 lights flashing on my bike. And I'm like, which 4 lights are they? You know, like which ones on the dashboard? I'm picturing the speedometer.
Because there's 92 lights on the dashboard.
Right. And I'm like, so which 4 lights are flashing? And he's like, well, it's the turn signals in the front and the turn signals on the back. And I was like, you mean your 4-way flashers?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, yeah, they won't go out. And I'm like, well, have you tried pressing the button on the bike that looks like a warning triangle?
No, he did. He was pushing the button and it wasn't shutting him off.
Okay, but at some point I told him, turn the key on, press and hold the button, and when they stop flashing, turn the key off. And he did, and they shut off. Because they're not still flashing now.
That we know of.
Right. But he said they went off.
You just put tape over
But the
them.
thing is, like, okay, once you activate the 4-way flashers,
Oh, you have to like reset them.
think about it.
Yeah.
What are 4-way flashers used for? My bike is broken.
And you're
Right.
going to take your keys.
You're going
just
to
in
take your
case.
keys with
Yeah.
you. So you're going to take your keys with you. The bike is broken. So the flashers would still be on, and you wouldn't be able to just walk up and turn them off because that would negate having the 4-way flashers on.
Now that makes sense.
So you turn the key on, you turn the 4-way flashers off.
Jeez.
Who was that? That was just,
Who do you think?
Yeah, that
Yeah, it was.
oh, there's finger pointing going on.
I think it's bad though that the guy that's 180 degrees opposite the table from me is over here wafting, and then the other guy sitting next to me is the guy kind of smirking because they're in like this weird game of like the world's worst game of Battleship.
I must be in jet stream because I didn't get it.
Yeah. Right.
That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad.
I turned down.
Worse than the digester.
I turned down my mic though. That's the thing. You could have like aimed it away from the fucking mic.
Well, I did. I aimed it back there. The mic's up here. I leaned into it.
B6. You sunk my destroyer. Yeah. Fuck. I just did order it. It's $110. They charge you a $10 service charge.
Man.
And I did buy it. So here you go.
That's $110 you can spend.
I will find out because I was going to spend $50 to get a ticket anyway. So now I got the whole weekend pass thing, and I got something that gives me into the whatever they call it. What do they call that thing? They call it the handy suite. The handy
Handy
deck.
sweet.
It's the Mid Ohio handy deck. Yeah.
Everybody comes out happy.
Yay.
My mic's still vibrating from that farting noise.
Oh, you didn't even read the thing. It's like you get the weekend general admission ticket, check. You get the continental breakfast on Saturday and Sunday, check. You get catered lunch Saturday and Sunday, whatever that is, check. You get light snacks Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night, and they get the glory hole on Saturday night. So that's fucking cool. They're looking out for you. Limited open bar. Limited.
Wait, did it say you get to work the glory hole?
It doesn't specify.
Oh, okay.
I got to say, I'm pretty much equal opportunity at this point. Look, I'll throw a tug in for sport. I'll do my part.
Taking one for the team.
That's exactly it. The hell? Look at that can.
Wow, very American.
Jesus Christ. Oh, it's hoppy. It's a code name Special Hoperations. Aren't they clever? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Breakside Brewery, Portland, Oregon. Yeah. I'm not going to drink this because I don't drink really super hoppy beer. So
All right,
Steve does.
Yeah.
Yeah. He likes any kind of hops.
Well, it's Portland. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, you got to support him, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's that. So I don't know. Anybody else got anything else? Anything fun or exciting?
No, not
No,
really.
It's been a boring week.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
because
It's been a year. I've been riding this year, so as you know, last year's podcast was always like, I haven't ridden a bike or anything, but I've managed to ride a few days to work and everything.
Here is the one problem with your compound. Every week now we plan to go ride,
Right.
And then we meet at his
Right.
compound, and then we end up just fucking off and like building a thing or parking his RV or chainsawing shit or
Oh,
drinking.
you mean you're going somewhere and having fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Because when you go to the clubhouse, you don't need to go out and find other adventures if the clubhouse has all the adventures there.
And I guess 38 miles there and back is almost 70-mile ride.
That's a hell of a ride.
Yeah, you know.
That's
by any standards.
over 100 for me.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
yeah. I mean, come on. That's more than the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride is supposed to be.
Right.
So
I have a question for the panel.
okay.
Told you I just put the new rear cushions on the rear wheel of the S65.
The Cush Drive.
Yeah,
I call them buffers.
there's still a problem with the chain adjustment where it's too loose here, turn the wheel 180 degrees,
Oh.
and it's too tight.
Interesting.
Whoa.
Well, how's your sprocket? So your sprocket center. I mean, did you take a measurement from the edge of the rim on either side to into the sprocket to see how your sprocket is sitting? Did you take a look at it to see?
I looked at it. There's nothing.
Spin the wheel. Does the sprocket?
That's what I did. I spin the wheel and keep my head lined up, and it all seems fine. It's got to be at the front sprocket.
Well, what about the chain? I've seen where chains. Is it a brand new chain?
It's a pretty new chain.
Oh, see.
But I've had chains where like they
fireball.
get a tight spot in them, and it's like,
Dude, when I cut the FJ chain off before I should have, but anyways, I rolled it backwards, right? And you'd expect when it came off the back, because I cut it here, like down here, and you'd expect the rest of it just kind of roll down to the ground and pile up. It just rolled off and it stuck straight out for like a foot and a half.
It looks like a sword.
That was the bad part of the chain, man.
Looks like a sword.
And it didn't look that bad.
I mean, I honestly don't think there's a way you could put that together that the sprocket wouldn't be centered. I mean, if you're using brand new
rear
buffers,
sprocket, there's no
Or
way-
centered enough.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's an axle and there's a bearing.
Yeah.
And there's a hub. And that's it. And as long as you don't have any slop in any of those items, the sprocket should only go in a non-orbital fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense. Now, okay, let's throw the weird shit out. So,
Is it a new sprocket on a slightly used chain though?
I think they're maybe a new chain on 2 slightly used sprockets.
That can have some problems there because just the way they wear in together. But
and that's true.
I can't be sure of that, but I think it might be a new chain.
And if you do, and we know this, if you have a motorcycle that was designed to have a, let's say for the sake of argument, a 420 or 428 chain, and somebody's running the wrong size chain, which you might not be able to tell by peeping it, because it's very hard to tell the difference between a 420 and 428 chain until you actually count the links out and measure the links over a given distance. And it'll tell you. You can look it up, and it says like, okay, for 10 links, it should be X amount of millimeters. And that's a good way to test both the wear of the chain and how worn out the chain is, but also to know the type of chain it is, because it isn't marked on the chain, whether it's a 420 or 428 or whatever. So you can go online and you can look, and it'll tell you how many links is supposed to be how many inches or how many centimeters. And this way you'll know 2 things. Is the chain within spec? And 2, what type of chain it is. Then if you would be able to find out if you had a mismatched chain, because yes, if you have the wrong chain on the wrong sprocket, then your teeth are going to be out of time. So what will happen is exactly what you're saying, and that is that the chain will be as the front sprocket and the rear sprocket are rotated. They're not counting the same number of revolutions. The rear sprocket is going 1 revolution. The front is going multiple.
I wonder how obvious it would be, though, would you be able to tell visually if you had a 428 chain on a 420 sprocket?
It's not that easy. And I mean, I've been there before, and we've had a lot of bikes that came in where the guy was like, any port in a storm, I need a chain to get home. And they're like, well, it worked, so we'll leave it on there. But it's the wrong size chain.
you
What
might want
happens
to
if
just
you go
try.
360? Does it loosen up again?
Say again?
Yeah.
If you turn it 360 degrees,
Oh, it's 180 degree opposites. Tight, loose. Tight, loose.
Is it tight loose with the rotation of the chain or the rotation of the wheel and sprocket? Like because
the wheel and sprocket.
one rotation of the wheel and sprocket isn't going to do a full rotation of the chain.
Right.
That's right.
No, it's the
Are
wheel,
you sure
it's the
it's
wheel
wheel
and
and
sprocket.
You sure it's not a bearing or something in the back wheel? Like maybe it's like binding, so like it goes halfway.
it would have to be
But
concentric.
is it
would
taking
mean
the-
that
is
the
it-
shaft would have to be somehow concentric, or the axle would have to
A
be
bent
concentric?
axle. A bent axle would do that.
I mean,
No?
I don't think it would because it's
No.
so
it's going to be
so,
bent. It's not going to be ellipse.
It's so close to the pivot point of the axle that it's not going to move forward and backwards on a bent axle.
Well, I mean, okay, so you do all the easy shit. First thing you do is you bend a coat hanger and check your run out. So, you take sacrifice a coat hanger to the coat hanger gods and take it out, wrap it around your stay, or your shock mount and put it out there and just make a fucking indicator on it. Make the world's cheapest dial indicator and then run that fucker out. Spin it out and see what it does. If you got wavy gravy, okay, you got somewhere to look, right? And if it don't, if it's straight and it looks good, and then also remember that your back sprocket on the swing arm, there will be some notches. There'll be some marks on the swing arm. And everyone thinks that the marks on the swing arm are there to line it up left or right. They're not. The marks on the swing arm are simply a reference point. They are not necessarily machined in with laser beam accuracy. And some people are like, well, if you're on the third tick over here, you got to be on the third tick over here, and it'll be perfectly straight. Do not trust that shit. Make sure it's straight before you sock it down, because I have seen those tick marks on those swing arms be wrong as fuck. And you'll have, if you look down, people, they sell a laser. I mean, they sell a fucking laser.
And
You can
I
use
have
your
one
eyeball.
of the clamp-on
Yeah.
things I put on there and
Yeah.
align the chain and sprocket.
You can use like your mom's old fucking yardstick she used to beat you with. It's fine. You don't need anything special. You don't need laser optics to see if your sprockets are enough lined up, right? And you can also see when the chain passes over them if they're, if you're putting a kink in it. If it looks like a dog's leg, it's fucked. But god damn it, if you're getting to that point where it's literally timed to the rotation of the wheel, then it is very much, you're like, oh, then that's got to be something in the sprocket, because the sprocket is timed to the rotation.
At least
of the
you can
wheel.
narrow it down to
Right.
something on the rear axle.
Right, and then now you bend your coat hanger the other way, and you make a run out gauge for the sprocket. So you bend it. So now you're not just doing a run out on the wheel, now you're doing a run out on the sprocket. And make sure there's not a high spot and a low spot on the sprocket. Because it also could have been, Uncle Harry's house of discount sprockets. And, you do.
It's an oval.
It's an oval sprocket. It's a biopace. And you bicycle people from the 80s know all about those things, right?
Oh, they've come out 6 times now with different names. Every
have
time
they?
it's the new, don't waste your crank speed, whatever, because the force and
Exactly. And meanwhile, all it does is every time I try to pedal and grunt, I fall over the handlebars. Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck?
Adjust the chain to the tightest spot.
Yeah.
And take it for a good long ride, and lube the shit out of it, and then come back and see if it went away.
Take the chain off, put the chain back on backwards.
Yeah, flip it over.
Flip it over. So that's always been my trick is lube the fuck out of it and then put it on upside down, a little bit loose, just a little bit loose. And then, you ride it, hit a couple of bumps, and it'll be like, oh shit. Now all of a sudden it's fine. Because I do agree, the culprit in all of this is a straight spot in the chain. Because except for the fact that it's timed to the back wheel.
Yeah.
I think the timing to the back wheel might be a coincidence. I think you might have a 52 tooth rear sprocket and a 100 4-tooth chain, which would essentially then be timed to the back wheel.
Remember that CTX?
Yeah.
It did the exact same thing.
Yes, it did. That thing did ja, and that it's fucking annoying as shit. But you're right. That and that was a new motorcycle.
Right.
It was like a 2-year-old bike, and that fucking bike did that. That thing was definitely. We chased that. We thought there was something wrong with the suspension, or the rim was bent, or something, and it wasn't. It was that fucking chain had a fucking
flat spot in it, or a tight spot.
Let's just call it what it was. It had
seasonally
seasonally affective erection disorder. It was stiff. It was stiff for a portion of it. And just enough of that chain was stiff, probably from it just sitting that way. And it just got tightened up. So, flip it over, lube the shit out of it, and run it. And see if that knocks the kink out of it. That's all I can think of. Or buy a tin of wax and immerse it or whatever, paraffin.
Oil it.
I mean, it's well oiled.
Yeah, I mean, so it's going to get its thing. So yeah, I think flipping it upside down.
I mean, visually, I would think if you took the chain off and you spun the wheel, you would, if that sprocket wasn't aligned, or if you just put a screwdriver and held it there, it would go.
That's right. Yeah.
If it's not doing that, then it's got to be a stiff chain or something, or something with the front sprocket. Or I don't know, but
I don't know either.
Or you got a tight spot somewhere, and you're like. Maybe it's in the transmission, the counter shaft. You know what I mean? Like, you're turning. It's not.
That wouldn't be timed with the rear wheel, though.
Right? It wouldn't be timed with the rear wheel.
It wouldn't. No. But
that's a good head scratcher. But I'm certain that it's going to be something pretty easy.
Have you, when you had the chain off, did you spin the back wheel and see if it's smooth without the chain on it? It's
totally
fine.
Smooth.
Yeah. All right.
I feel like you just need to run a little bit and see what that does.
I agree. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's a decent one. Apparently, if you have a Suzuki, you should check right now. I believe I hear your stator going out. Just going to let you know, it's that time of the year where 26% of the phone calls we take are Suzukis with dead batteries, and they're not charging.
I don't know any idiots that own a Suzuki GS.
No. Well,
only geezers own those.
In his defense, it's not. It's the Katanas. Let's just call it what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
Katanas.
because my GS started, fucking 80 started on the first push of fucking the button and ran like
it's
a
GSXRs.
fucking 8.
I'm going to tell you. Push the button. Every one of these motherfucking, these guys, I know what's happening, and I don't have any sympathy for them anymore. They parked their bike in November. They walked away. They have not looked at the bike sideways since November.
It may have been sitting outside.
It may have been. There
with
may
a
have
grill
been
cover on it.
a family of a family of mice living in it. But what I can tell you for sure is these guys all call me and they are just surprised as fuck that they've got a dead battery. And then they come in and they buy a brand new battery. And then they leave after buying their brand new battery and they call me back 2 days later with a dead battery. And they're just shocked as shit that could have possibly happened. So what I have found is the one thing that is common is a lot of these guys are jump starting their bike with a dead battery off of the car or whatever. So the bike is running and they probably jump it and probably let it sit for like 14 hours to warm up. They're air-cooled bike, and I'll bet you the voltage regulator that whole time is going, I'm not a charging device. Right. I'm not a 10-amp motorcycle battery charger. And I think that's probably what executes the stator.
And when I hear that,
regulator.
I imagine it in Nick's voice. That's the perfect voice for that.
But if you're using your voltage regulator as a 10-amp battery charger, like you're going to resurrect a battery that is deader than Frankenstein's monster, using just a bike idling at 1,200 RPM, you're probably going to murder your voltage regulator or your stator. One of those two is not going to survive the issue. If it's a Suzuki, it was probably already dying, and this is just the final nail in the coffin. But that has been the thing. It's a 3-call system. Call 1, bike won't start. Call 2, the battery you sold me, I want my money back. This battery you sold me is a piece of shit. Call 3 is, well, what do you mean it needs a stator? And why are they so expensive? So
I just bought a really nice, cheap battery charger off of Amazon's bestseller.
Oh, yeah?
It's a 1224 auto charger. It was $30.
Right.
But it's got a nice little LED readout that reads percentage of charging, auto charge 4 different cycles for cars, NiCad, repair, something else. I don't even know. I was using it on the chairlift because it's 24 volts. So you hook it up and it's kind of cool. It's got a built-in cooling fan and everything, and hooked it up. And
it did 24 volts?
It does 24 volts.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Get out of here.
Yellow in color.
And that's fantastic. So is it technically advertised as a charger?
Yeah, charger maintainer, 12 to 24 volt.
Is it the one for $25.99 that has yellow? It looks like somebody replicating a Hornet.
Very possible.
Okay, all right. I mean, you guys see my rig over there. I've got a tabletop power supply and stuff, and so I artisanally blend all my own voltages.
But it was cool. I mean, I hooked it up. It sat there. It charged it. It went blip, 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 and then finally it was 1 bar, 1 bar, 1 bar, and then when it charged it up, it clicked to off and fan shut off.
Is it
and
that
was
one? Show me on the doll where the man touched you.
It looks kind of like that yellow one, yeah.
Okay. Because the NoCo that's next to it, the NoCo Genius, is one that we have here in the shop, and we swear by those things. I mean, those NoCo Genius chargers, they'll let you do lithiums, they'll let you do all kinds of rude things to a battery.
But you still got to have all these new ones though.
Yeah.
If you want to fuck with batteries and try to bring them back from the dead and
you
stuff,
need amps.
You need an old school fucking put it on start, get the 50 amp thing, and it doesn't give a shit what kind of battery it is.
Yeah.
It's it's a dumb charger. It's
I got one of those.
Yeah, you got to have one of those.
Those are illegal now.
Really?
They're like high flush toilets. They're like high flow shower heads. There are things in the world you're not allowed to have anymore. And one of the things you're not allowed to have anymore is a dumb charger.
A transformer in a box.
Exactly. It is all it is a 14-volt transformer in a metal case.
Dude, as I've said before, the best dumb charger is just another battery.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
So just hook it up to another battery. And
That's
you'll
illegal too.
Put 650 cranking amps through it. And
Right.
Yeah, I gave the one to Phil,
Yeah.
and I still had 2, like a 50 amp and
Yeah.
a 10 amp, and somebody gave me another 10 amp dumb charger in the meantime.
Oh my God, I'm telling you, that's like it's raining gold over where Kromke lives, because every time you walk into Hazard Fraught and you're like, oh, I need a battery charger. You buy the battery charger and you hook it up to your battery. It will not send current down the lines unless it detects 12 volts is already there. I bought the motherfucker because 12 volts wasn't there. So it can't do the one thing it needs to do. It's like having a light switch on your wall that only works if the room's lit.
Right.
It's like, what the fuck, man?
you got to trick it first with your dumb charger.
Right? You have to.
And then once it sees 12 volts, then it'll continue to charge.
Exactly. So you need 2 chargers. You hook up to the dumb charger, and then you put the smart charger on top of the dumb charger. It is annoying as fuck. And I've tried a bunch of these things, and you're right. You have to trick it first with a dumb charger. Or, like you said, another battery, Yeah, because that's true. And you will, the nice thing about using another battery is it will make the smoke come out of the bad battery. So if you have one battery that's bad and one battery that's not, the battery that's bad will immediately let you know it's bad. Because
And a dumb charger, you can take the old lead acid batteries and you can knock them with a 50 amp charge and knock the shit off the
Desulfide 'em?
plates.
Yeah,
and
right.
fucking go from there and
Exactly.
get it bubbling real good. And,
Yeah, I
Oh
agree.
yeah, the lithium batteries love that too.
They do.
Oh yeah. Same with lipos. They're really good.
It is pretty funny because the NOCO will automatically detect. That's the nice thing about it is when you hook the NOCO up and you forget, you're like, because I mean, we've got a bunch of chargers running around here and some of them are lithium, which means they won't go over, 14.4. And then some of them aren't lithium, which means they will go as high as they need to achieve their goal, right? Which of course is not cool for lithiums. And the NOCO is nice enough that when you hook it up, it automatically goes, oh, this is an AGM, or this is a lead acid, or whatever, or this is a gel cell, and it automatically detects it. And that's why I do like the NOCO chargers, because they do save you some, you can't fuck it up too hard. That's pretty important. But yeah, as far as releasing the smoke from these fucking batteries, yeah, that's become a thing. I do like the artisanally crafted battery charging setup I have over there, because I can walk past it several times during the day and be like, oh, look, it's putting out 900 milliamps, and then later on I'm like, oh, it's putting out 125 milliamps. I'll crank that bitch up. And yeah, I can kind of go through and cycle it on my own with the desktop power supply.
So I read a thread this week on one of the.
It's kind of an article. It's just an article. It's just a really short article.
But I think we've talked about this before. But it was so poignant. This dude had bought, I don't know, probably a Harley or something. I don't remember the bike, but it had a lot of chrome, and he was very proud of his bike. And it was last year he bought it. And so as we discussed, he bought like the best cover that you could get. That just completely solid, awesome cover. And he put the bike with this awesome cover in his unheated garage. And then the temperatures went up and down as they do. And this cover is not designed to be in an area like that. So it just retained all the water inside of it. And so his brand new bike, he was complaining and he was trying to say that it was the cover's fault. And he had this whole thing where he was going to sue the cover company.
Yeah, because the cover put it on itself.
Right.
Yeah.
But he pulled the cover off. And I'm sure it had, he didn't do anything with the gas, no battery traps. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of other things. But all his chrome, all the aluminum, everything was all corroded.
Well, that's the only important part.
Chrome. Right. That was the worst thing.
And the ultimate irony, too, is like, okay, he did build the perfect greenhouse.
Right.
Yeah.
If you would have tried, you couldn't have built a better greenhouse in your garage, where, of course, the temperature does go from 50 degrees to 20 degrees.
And he mentioned that he keeps his snowblower in the garage, too.
Oh.
So he was going out and pulling it back and forth, and so the water's in there.
Yeah,
It's bringing moisture in there.
Yeah, I'm sure that concrete's soaking up all that salty water from the snowblower and just, holding that like a big sponge.
Yeah, so I think we talked about it before, but now it's, obviously it's spring, so you're taking them off. But
ecosystem, man. You got an ecosystem in your garage, and that's what happened is that dude just fucking held his bike underwater for the better part of 5 months. So yeah, that's a good tip. Yeah. So when you take your bike,
dust is better than rust.
Right. Now that winter's over, don't do that.
Yeah.
Right now that winter's over, exactly. That is
Unless you're in Australia.
Yeah,
That's true.
Those guys might have something to talk about on that. I don't think I got anything else. John, what did you order fun for your Versys?
I ordered the GV tank lock bag.
Okay.
And the tank lock ring. So I don't know.
Which is genius.
Yeah, Kevin had that on his bike, and I really loved it. And I'm like,
I have the tank lock ring.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I didn't know what to order. I didn't even know
Is
what.
it a GV one?
I think so. It's on. Yeah. It looks like a soup bowl on top of my gas thing.
Right. Well, we can compare it to what I have, and
Okay.
we'll
It'll
see.
say GV right on it.
Yeah.
All right.
But that's basically you take a couple of the screws out for around your gas cap. The locking ring goes on it, and then your bag just goes. Thunk.
It's so fucking cool.
Oh, that's cool.
And
I've
it
had
doesn't
that-
actually even touch your tank. It hovers above your tank. And I just got the small 4-liter bag that'll hold your sunglasses, your wallet, some bullshit in there.
Does it block your filler cap? Or
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So when you go to take it off, you pull a little. There, I believe there's a little nylon cord. You pull and twist, and it comes off, and you fill your gas, and you just put it right back on
again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't leave it laying at the gas station.
I mean, they're so much cooler than a magnetic bag. They work much better. The downside, like you said, is you do have to remove it for filling purposes. I mean,
Have you ever had a strap-on bag? It takes
Yes.
like fucking 45 minutes. You're like,
I will not use a magnetic bag ever again either.
it'll eat your gas tank.
the magnetic
As soon as you
bags-
set it on the ground, it's going to pick up something ferrous,
Yes.
and it's going to scratch the shit out of your
I've
tank.
never had a magnetic. All my magnetic bags, I would always pull the magnets out, clean the shit out of the bag. I'd cut the magnets out of the fucking bag, And then I clean the shit out of the bag and then put a T-shirt down and then put the magnetic bag on top of the T-shirt because those things take paint off a gas tank like nobody's fucking business. Yeah. The best use, though, for a magnetic tank bag is to throw the fucker away and harvest all the magnets out of it. So I've got all the magnets out of my tank bag or on the front of my tool chest over there. You'll see those big, giant hockey puck looking magnets. Those things are boss. Those things are kick ass. Yeah. They stick air to air. Like, they're good. But you throw the bag away fast. Just save the magnets. So you got the GV high speed low drag gas tank ring filler thinger, which is badass.
It's called a tank lock.
Tank lock, of course, great name.
It's tank lock.
Makes sense.
And then I also got the Coso. Yeah, they're Coso Apollo heated grips.
Nice. Yeah.
So those are the type that have over here on your left. There's a button, and you hit it. And it goes from blue to green to yellow to orange to red. 5 different heat settings.
Finally civilized. This is weird. You're going to have... Dude, what is this guy?
Again, my buddy Kevin had those on his bike. And when we took off at 39 degrees and there was frost on the bikes, that was the only thing that saved my life was those...
It changes your life.
Those grips made it so much nicer.
I can't believe... We talked about this before, but I can't believe the difference the heated grips make to your overall comfort. I don't know if it's just the blood because it's like you're like having an intercooler.
Even riding to work these last couple it's like 22 miles out there for me.
Right.
And at 45, 50 degrees in the morning, my hands were freezing off, and my gloves sucked. So I did buy a new pair of Olympia gloves.
Yep.
What else? I'm in the market for a helmet. I bought the rear rack. I bought the arms to mount So I want to set it up so I can take my top box that I have, which is the biggest top box that. You can fit 2 helmets.
It's a 97 liter, right?
It's and
it's basically a truck cab.
It is.
Flip over.
It says turtle on it. It says turtle top. Escargot.
You'd camp in it.
Yeah. Oh, seriously. I mean, with that top box, you don't really need side bags.
No, that's it.
But it's also a backrest for my wife when she rides it.
It just says Goldwing who? Yeah.
So I bought the arms and everything and a plate that I'm going to, it's not supposed to use a newer plate on it. I might have to do a
little
mount.
Fine.
I might put like a plate on a plate. I might put a plate on that and then drill holes and put the mounting plate on that.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what
I have plates you can have from very expensive ADV kind of stuff that you just drill holes. I'll bring him next week.
Cool. Yeah, if you think
or this weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's about it. I'm in the market. I probably want to get a windshield. I should order. The GV has a windshield, but there's also another one that's a smoked windshield, which I think would kind of look good on that bike.
It would look good on that bike
because it's kind of it's black and green.
You should get like the neon green, and then that'll match your LED underglow that you're going to put on the bottom too.
And I have the LED green underglow lights already from Piper's Halloween costume. So
perfect. There you go,
ready to go.
I want to do a whole distribution. I'm going to do I want to get my ignition. I'm going to fire it off a relay. Somehow I want to do the electronics really nice on it too, so I can.
If only you could find a guy that knew.
I
have
a handlebar. I do already have a handlebar USB thing and stuff like that.
I was really happy with the KLR I put together that I sold before I did anything with it. But by using that power distribution block, I was able to get all those weird lights. I had all the heated grips. I had everything in the world. And it all had its own blade fuse. Like the fact that it was just so fucking simple.
Yeah.
And then
I'll buy an LED one they'll all be lit with when they're powered. Their LED is on. When the fuse blows, it goes out, so you can immediately see if you blew a fuse.
And the other one I saw that I bought, but I haven't used it in a project yet, is I bought the one that has breakers. And I love that. The breaker one is so fucking cool because then if something does happen, you can look and see which one it is. And then you discover the source of the heat, the short, and then flip the breaker and you're good to go.
Well, they also have those little mini breaker things.
I got the mini breaker ones.
You can just...
I got them they're built right into the fuses. Honestly, that is one of the trickiest things, but I don't trust it because it's so tiny. You think about a breaker. A breaker's, a 10 amp breaker. Yes, a 10 amp breaker has got some fucking gravity behind it. Not... because like you basically would have to push those like the tip of a paper clip.
Sure.
And you're like, that's 10 amps.
I saw those a lot in the heavy trucks, Peterbilts.
Yeah.
Kenworth.
Whereas the breakers on the power distribution brick are actually big enough to feel like their 30 amps are doing something real. Whereas a bus fuse or what is that, AGC? Is that what they're called? AWG or whatever. I can't remember.
Glass ones, or is that?
Yeah. No, the plasticky ones, the blade fuses.
Oh,
whatever their nomenclature is for those fuckers. for the normal ones. They just don't seem to be enough that if they were a push button resettable thing, there'd be enough there to be a trustworthy 10 or 30 amp thing. So,
Well, I can tell you they will pop because
we know they pop. Yeah, I know they pop. Just do they unpop? That's the trick. Because I know I guarantee they fucking pop. I've shot lightning through those motherfuckers and they pop, but they don't unpop.
What are we thinking of? Any mini bike riding on Sunday?
I'm working
weather
this
supposed
weekend,
to be?
so I'll be out there. I probably will work 6 to 2 Saturday and Sunday. If you guys show up or if you're out there, I'll join you in progress. I might actually even camp out Saturday night because my RV's there.
Shit, that's nice.
If I did that, I might work 5 to 1, so I'll just
Be done early.
roll out of bed, walk across the creek, and go to work.
Not the worst
And
job
it's
in the world.
dumpster days too.
Oh,
So if you have garbage, you could take it to the township and throw it all in the. But you have to have an ID, which I do.
all right,
So
yeah.
I think the old man's going to be out there working on the house.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. That's something for Sunday.
All right.
Yeah. I like the sound of that. Get together and brat, 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 brat. That sounds like fun to me, man. All right. That's all I got. Got it all? Got it all. Fuck it, dude.
One more thing.
Yeah.
I just had an awful thought. I sold the Bandit
Yes, you did.
without removing the airbox this spring. So I have a sneaking suspicion that this lady is somewhere in Texas with the Bandit with an airbox full of birdseed.
Oh. Oh, really?
Yeah.
What do you have evidence to suggest that there are vermin?
just experience from every past year that I've owned the bike.
Okay. So if you are this lady who just bought this Bandit and she's in Austin, Texas?
I think so.
In
maybe.
Austin, Texas. So if you smell the dulcet odor of sunflower seeds when you're riding,
Empty the airbox.
empty the airbox. Right.
Do you think sunflower seeds would pop like popcorn?
No,
at
they
some
won't.
point? No.
They'll roast. Then you
Just
can
roast
eat 'em.
them.
We know the one that we had the
Unless
bike
there's actually corn in there.
the
There
bike
could
that
be
filled
some-
up with duck corn. So the duck corn. All the vermin had moved and filled the entire frame of the bike up with duck corn. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of thought we had all of it out until the bike crashed and was upside down, and we found like another 7 pounds of duck corn inside of this thing. This bike did occasionally, like when it would run, it fucking smelled like popcorn. Now, it never actually produced popping corn out of it, but it did have the popcorn smell. And when the bike went upside down and all that extra corn fell out years later, that was hilarious. I mean,
Has anybody ever, like, at a scooter rally or something, filled an exhaust with popcorn?
no, you're just pissing your helmet.
No, but that would be fucking hilarious.
Well, remember
man.
the last band camp that we went to 2 years ago? Somebody was handing out those noisemaker things with the little propeller.
Yeah, with a propeller.
And we were duct taping
Yes.
them to the exhaust pipes.
Yeah, and they're hilarious.
Yeah.
that was the ones you put in your mouth and go. Yeah, those things. We put them on the exhaust and it's just,
But think about that, like in one of those, like the hollowed out kind of racing sip, like they look stock, but they're not exhaust on a Vespa.
Right.
You could just pour a little. Well, there's oil in it.
I was
I'm
going to
sure,
say.
I'm sure the Russians have done it.
Yeah, I mean, come on. They've
They
been
have
cooking.
a deep fryer that's built into the exhaust.
Yes.
Dude, that would be great. The guys would just-
the Russians surf with dynamite. They're so cool.
I think that's it, dude. I think that's a podcast.
Yeah.
Empty
right.
your air boxes.
Fuck yeah. Empty your airboxes and ride fast and take chances. Harmonize.